afternoon, everyone, and late Happy New Year. May I welcome members of the viewing public to this meeting of the City Council. Please can I ask the Monitoring Officer, David Hollis, to announce the housekeeping arrangement. David?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Please can I request that members of the public familiarise themselves with the fire safety and evacuation notices displayed in the public gallery. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please take instruction from the security attendants who will be in attendance throughout the meeting. Please can I also request everyone to switch electronic devices to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of this meeting. Today's meeting will be webcast and the recording will be available for people to view later through the Council's website. It is also possible that Sheffield Live TV will record and rebroadcast this meeting. Webcasting notices providing further information are displayed in the public gallery. Members of the public are permitted to take photographs and to film or audio record the meeting, but the Lord Mayor, as chair of the meeting, does have discretion to withdraw or suspend this permission if the recording is disrupting the conduct of the meeting, is being undertaken in a manner which could capture personal information, or if a member of the public participating objects to being filmed. Any member of the public due to speak at the meeting who does not wish to be filmed should say so at the start of their speech, and the Lord Mayor will suspend the permission to film their contribution. The webcast then will only record the audio contribution. Finally, please may I request for safety reasons that no recording equipment, banner or any other object is held over the balcony from the public gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Please can I ask the councillors to ensure they have logged into their microphone consoles. If for any reasons you are unable to do so, please seek assistance from a member of the service team. Please also note that when we use the electronic voting system, there will be time limit of 30 seconds of conduct of each vote. Please can I inform councillors that as a part of the Governance Committee's review of full council meetings, and as we have done in the last few meetings, we are testing some initiatives before formally proposing any permanent changes. Those initiatives include the operation of the limited on the number of supplementary questions that the councillor may ask under the members' questions item on the agenda. To no more than 3 supplementary questions from any councillor. The aim of this is to give an opportunity for more councillors to ask the supplementary questions should they wish to. Finally, this meeting is scheduled to finish at 5:30 p.m, but I shall adjourn the meeting at an appropriate point in the proceedings to give members the opportunity to take a comfort break. Item 2, apologies for absence. Councillor Iris, Councillor Downing, Councillor Hurst, Councillor Naz, Councillor Slater, Councillor Woodcroft, and Councillor, Woolhouse. Item 3, exclusion of the press and public. There are no items of business that requires the exclusion of the press and public. Item number 4, declaration of interest. This item of business is to enable members of the council to declare an interest in any item of the agenda. Does any member wish to declare interest? Thank you. Item number 5, public petition, questions and statements, and another communication. As a Lord Mayor, I just wanted to announce 2 news. A huge congratulations to colleagues Greg Fell, Director of Public Health, and Vanessa Langley, Head Teacher of Arborthorne Community Primary School, for receiving New Year's honours from the King. Thank you. public petitions, questions and statements. This council enable people who live and work in Sheffield to have a say in the work of the council by allowing public questions, statements and petitions to be presented at its formal decision-making meetings. For this meeting, we have received the following communication from the members of the public. 5 supplementary questions resulting from 9 initial questions on matters relating to the remit of the full council, and 2 statements. No petition have been received for today's meeting. The 9 initial questions received on the matters relating to the remit of the full council will not be asked at the meeting because the questions and the responses from the leader of the council or relevant committee chairs have been published on the council's website. However, the supplementary questions that have been received will be asked and answered at this meeting. The statements received from 2 members of the public will be read out in the meeting. The statements have been published on the council website and notified to all members of the council. Statements do not require a response, but myself as a chair of the meeting or the leader of the council reserves the right to reply at the meeting. A period of 60 minutes is allowed in total of ordinary petition and public questions and statements. We shall now take the questions and the statements from the public, members of the public. Speakers, you must be as brief as possible to keep strictly on the content of the submitted in advance of the meeting. Out of fairness of other speakers, because we have limited time, I will not permit any further interactions. I won't tolerate any shouting or disturbance from the public gallery, and anyone who disturbs of the meeting will be asked to leave. I not want to have to do this, but ensure you adhere by these requirements. May I also ask the leader of the council or the relevant committee chairs to keep this response short and to the point. This is to ensure that as much time as possible is available for all the public questions and for the other items of business on the agenda for today's meeting. Thank you. We have 5 supplementary questions about the local plan to be answered by the leader of the council. Before I call the first questioner, Councillor Hunt would like to say a few words. Councillor Hunt?
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Yes, as you said before the questions on the local plan, I just wanted to set out where we are with regards to the draft local plan and how questions will be answered today. So, as people know, this is the first council meeting since the independent inspectors wrote to us in January, setting out their views on the draft local plan. So I just want to take a moment to explain where we are in that process and what happens next, and also explain the process that the council will take about public questions with regards to the local plan. So, as everyone knows, having submitted the draft local plan in 2023, the council's been in a statutory examination process that's governed by legislation and run by the Independent Planning Inspectorate. The local plan was developed as a brownfield first plan. A year ago, the council was asked by the independent inspectors to identify more sites for housing and employment. And so in May 2025, the council submitted additional sites for public consultation. And I want to take this opportunity again to thank every resident and community group from across Sheffield who took the time to share their views through that process and in the examination hearings. In the letter that the council received last month, the independent inspectors confirmed that the plan is sound in principle, subject to a series of proposed modifications. The next step in the process is a further public consultation, which is expected to begin next month and last for 6 weeks. Through that consultation, the public will again be able to comment on the proposed main modifications and the updates to supporting documents. Every consultation response will then be assessed by the independent inspectors prior to them putting their final report together, which will then be delivered to the council. At this stage, we don't know what that final report will say. But what we do know is that the local plan is a statutory document that Sheffield must have by law. We don't currently have a local plan, and without that, we're wide open to unplanned development. That is a situation that cannot continue. The vast majority of new homes and employment land is planned on brownfield sites, but the reality is that the inspectors have concluded that without including greenbelt sites, the council can't meet its request to identify the additional sites for housing and employment. And without those additional sites, we don't have a viable local plan. The local plan is also critical for providing new affordable homes. Some people have asked about this in their supplementary questions today. The local plan will set a requirement for housing developments in a number of areas in the city to deliver 30% affordable homes. There will then be a 10% requirement in all other areas. Under the golden rules on former greenbelt land, the requirement will be that even more affordable housing will be delivered. This is a priority for the council, and I will push for the number of affordable homes on each site to be as high as possible. Finally, I want to thank everyone who's come today to ask supplementary questions about the local plan, including people who haven't been able to make it today. We need to make sure that the council can robustly and legally deliver that plan whilst allowing everyone the opportunity to have their say. This allows for the council's position to be robustly challenged where people disagree with elements of it. I've explained in my published written responses to the questions that senior council officers have advised that to ensure the robustness and integrity of the independent statutory process, questions of detail about the local plan should be dealt with through the inspection process. This will ensure that all points raised are fully considered, and I just would reiterate that I strongly encourage all residents in the city who want to make their views known to take part in the forthcoming public consultation on those proposed modifications. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can I call the first speaker, Linda Jackson?
I've actually got.
I was going to say that you've
so
actually.
if you want me to do the two together,
Do you mind answering two at the same time?
It's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So you're going to be speaking. The first question is for you, and the second question is from Elizabeth Sadiq. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. So my original question related to the nationally described space standard, which outlines the minimum amount of space the government has stated that anyone from a single person to a large family can expect to live in, and has been in place since 2015. And yet this council has failed to adopt this policy and standard. Exam document 6, Housing Space Standards from 2024, draws a very worrying picture of the standards that this council is currently allowing hundreds of new homes to be built to, which are so much smaller than the national required. We're hearing a lot about affordable housing, and yet those who have scrimped and scraped to buy what they think is a reasonably sized home for the size of their family seem to be being ripped off. I just want to quote some figures from that document if I can. 52.6% of the 2-bedroomed homes and 67.7% of the 3-bedroomed homes failed to meet the minimum space requirements. These figures include Sheffield Housing Scheme homes. If we exclude those percentages, they rise to 69.2% and 87% respectively. If you let that sink in, 87% are not built to the national space standards. Altogether, if you do it across the board, 70% failed to meet the standard expected. It's even worse when it comes to apartments, with 92.5% of one-floor apartments failing. The houses produced, for example, former Griffiths Works by Avent Homes, is 23% smaller than the minimum standard. Bannerdale by Barrett Wilson, 24.3, and a 3-bedroom, 6-person.
Can we stick to the content, please? I know those dates are...
I will. I just think it's important that you realise that these stats are within there.
It's very important, but as I said at the beginning, we need to stick to the content of it.
Yeah, okay. So, out of all these homes that don't make the standard, How can this be right? How can this council allow this to go ahead, and why are these national standards not adopted after all these years and adhered to and checked throughout the process? Does the public know they are paying thousands for space they are not getting? Stating in your reply that this is the importance of having a Sheffield plan is frankly a cop-out. This could have and should have been implemented and enforced for 11 years. The failure to have a plan is the failure and incompetence of this council over that time. This also begs the question of whether all the homes currently mentioned in the plan are indeed up to this standard or are still sliding under the radar. This is a complete failure on the part of the council and planning departments, and investigations should begin into why this has been allowed to happen.
Yeah, Tom, sorry, really you should have stuck, and all of this information was very important, but that should have been on your script, but thank you. Tom?
Right, thank you very much. At present, Sheffield doesn't have adopted planning policies that enable us to secure national space standards in housing developments. This does emphasise the importance of having up-to-date planning policies in order to ensure that residents can benefit from higher quality, better quality housing in the future. At present, as you set out, developers are able to build to different standards from a space perspective. But it is worth saying that if a property is not built to national space standards, that should be reflected in the value of the property. But I hear what you're saying today. Thank you.
I still think 11 years is a very long time to implement
Thank you.
it. But yes, okay, thank you. Right, okay,
yeah,
from Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you for your response to my submitted question. My original question was about the strategic justification for Greenbelt release, rather than the process of the local plan, and was intended to support transparency and public confidence in decision-making in line with the principles set out in the Lowcock report. In December, the leader confirmed that affordable housing on Greenbelt sites cannot be guaranteed, that developers can still reduce provision on viability grounds, and that the majority of affordable houses in Sheffield will be delivered without releasing Greenbelt land. Exam 202 now explicitly confirms that releasing additional land does not resolve the underlying viability or delivery barriers. Given that, can the leader explain at a strategic planning level what the justification is for releasing irreplaceable Greenbelt land at all, if affordable housing delivery is a viability and delivery problem rather than a land supply problem? And in light of the FOI's disclosures relating to site NES 38, that show developer preferences for site access linked to marketing value, what assurance can residents have that decisions to release Greenbelt land are being driven by housing need and affordability rather than developer convenience or marketing positioning when affordable housing outcomes themselves remain uncertain?
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
Linda, thank you very much for asking the question on Elizabeth's behalf. As I explained when I set out my opening remarks, questions of detail of the kind that Elizabeth has asked about the local plan should be dealt with through the inspection process for those reasons that I've set out. However, I did address Elizabeth's points about the strategic justification for Greenbelt release and the delivery of affordable housing in those earlier comments. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got Becky Travers next, and you've got 2 questions to ask on behalf of Mark Ash and Mr. Robert Ritchie. Is that correct?
Yes, that's fine. I'll begin with Mr. Ash's question.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that okay with you, Councillor Hunt? Yeah, thank you.
In light of the Mid-Counties Co-op judgment, which confirmed that local authorities must be able to demonstrate during any statutory challenge period what information they relied upon, how it was investigated, and how it was taken into account. And I would like the Council to please clarify the following: whether, in the event of a challenge under Section 113 of the Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act 2004, the Council's defence would rely on the same evidence base and submissions provided to the inspectors, including representations made in documents such as Exam 130B, which is a list of alternative sites. Specifically, what investigations were undertaken by the council into alternative brownfield and deliverable sites, including Rycroft Farm, Norton Aerodrome, S03059 and S04236, which were formally submitted and repeatedly raised during the examination, and how that assessment informed the council's position prior to submitting exam 130B.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hunt.
Becky, thank you. Thank you for asking the question on Mr. Ash's behalf. Look, I'm kind of going to repeat what I said just a moment ago, which is, as I explained when I set out in my opening remarks, questions of detail.
Can I just say we can't
questions
really
of
hear very well. We can't. Can you get it nearer to you?
Yeah, of course. Is that any better?
Thanks.
Okay. All right. One day we'll get a microphone that's tall enough for me. As I explained, note to Democratic Services. As I explained when I spoke earlier in my opening remarks, the questions of detail of the kind that Mr. Ash has asked about the local plan should be dealt with through the inspection process. That approach means that we can ensure the integrity of the process and that all of the points being raised by Mr. Ash and other members of the public are fully considered. It's, of course, important for the council's position to be robustly challenged when people disagree with elements of it, and I fully accept that some people do disagree with it. There will be a further opportunity for Mr. Ash and other residents to comment on the proposals in the public consultation on those proposed modifications, which is expected to begin early next month. And as before, I would really strongly encourage everyone to take part in that process.
Thank you. Your second question from behalf of Robert Ritchie, yeah?
Yes, thank you. As the leader's response did not address the question that was asked, which is the case for a number of our questions, I will state that Action 109 of the Local Plan Examination, that's exam 200, confirms that Sheffield's housing numbers are not derived from post-2021 population trends, but from a bespoke model which assumes higher future migration in order to meet a fixed housing figure. Given that Sheffield now has one of the lowest birth rates in the country, can the leader confirm whether this evidence has resulted in any reduction to the housing requirement, or whether higher migration assumptions have instead been applied to offset declining natural population growth? And given that an FOI response from the council confirms that the number of active households on the social housing register is around half of the headline figure, frequently quoted publicly, reflecting legacy approaches rather than current housing need, can the leader explain how councillors are being assured that the housing need figures being used to justify Greenbelt release under exceptional circumstances are accurate, evidence-led and not overstretched?
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Ritchie, for your questions. It is as before, there is an inspection process, and detailed questions of the kind that Mr. Ritchie has asked should be dealt with through that process. But as before, I would encourage Mr. Ritchie and others to submit their views and those questions and points to the consultation process.
Thank you. Thank you for all your questions. We now move to Jill Travis, who's speaking on behalf of Joe Tonsell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is about farmland. I understand that the Sheffield plan is currently subject to independent examination and that detailed site matters are being considered through that statutory process. However, two substantive issues raised in my original question were not addressed and remain matters of council policy and accountability. First, in my initial question, I referenced the Prime Minister's statement in Parliament that the government is, and I quote, not going to plough through farmland, unquote, when questioned about development on Greenbelt. Can the Council clarify whether this statement reflects current national planning policy or guidance to which the Council must have regard? And if so, how the proposed release of significant areas of productive agricultural land for housing and warehousing in Sheffield has been assessed as consistent with that national position. Secondly, during multiple site investigations associated with allocation CH05, damage has been caused to agricultural crops to the land drainage system, which has resulted in an estimated cost of £10,000 to the farmer. Can the Council clarify whether these works were undertaken directly by the Council or by contractors acting on the Council's behalf, and whether liability for remediation or compensation for such damage lies? Clarification on both points would assist residents in understanding the Council's approach ahead of forthcoming consultation.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you very much, Jill, for asking those questions on behalf of Joe. I want to make it clear, as I hope you recognise I have done throughout this process, that I do believe that accountability is very important, and that we are, as a council, very happy to be held accountable regarding its actions relating to the local plan. But I did explain earlier that I'm not intending to respond to questions of detail about the local plan for those reasons. However, I will say that the inspectors have considered the draft plan in line with the government's national framework and have found it to be sound, subject to the main modifications that will be the subject of the consultation that I've mentioned. With regard to the specific site CH05 and the question about damage caused to agricultural crops and the land drainage system, I can confirm that that site is not a council-owned site.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the statements. We've got two statements. The first one by yourself, Gillian Travis. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay. So my question to the December Council was specifically about the Council's repeated claim that they did not have the time or the resources to consult properly with residents. And those points, I'll just be clear, were not addressed by the answer that was provided. Just so everybody knows who's in the Council, we've now had over 300 documents since you voted on this plan. The leader, in answer at the December meeting, referred to the street trees dispute and stated that the Council had then closed its ears and doubled down on a course of action, and that this Council is now listening throughout. But repeatedly saying you are listening and is not the same as hearing, understanding and acting on what residents are telling you. And I'll be honest, that is reinforced by the way the Council has answered the questions that we had submitted. Those questions were submitted in good faith, yet we have been given generic responses that do not answer what has been asked, but instead hides behind waiting for the inspector's report. Being invited to participate but not being given the courtesy of an answer is not meaningful engagement. The relevance to the street trees inquiry is clear to anyone who's read it. Many residents now feel that they are watching that mistake being repeated. The Council is once again, in your words, Councillor Hunt, doubling down. The Council's own triple lock commitment is to listen, involve and protect communities. That's what the Council has chosen to be judged against. You've all chosen that, not us. Residents feel isolated.
Gillian, can I stop you there? Can you please stick to the statements?
I am.
Please.
Residents feel isolated and abandoned, left out in the cold, and asking councillors directly why communities who pay their council tax, raise their concerns properly, engage constructively, are being treated like this. The question goes to the heart of fairness, representation and trust in local decision making. Thank you.
much. Next person, Lynn Wilson. Can you please stick to the statement so I could follow as well? But thank you so much.
I want to raise a concern about the Council's proposed approach to large-scale warehousing on Greenbelt land, particularly where sites sit directly alongside existing homes. Across the country, we are seeing the real-world consequences of this type of development. One current example is Astley in Greater Manchester, where warehouses up to 60 feet high have been built immediately next to housing. The development has dominated the local skyline and attracted sustained public opposition and negative media coverage. Despite petitions, press attention and calls to pause construction, the local authority has maintained confidence in the original planning permission. Residents are now calling for an independent investigation, citing what they describe as systematic failures in the planning process and inadequate impact assessments. These concerns are now firmly on the public record. I raise this because Sheffield is currently proposing warehouse allocations on Greenbelt land that are strikingly similar in scale, proximity to housing and potential impact. Despite stating at the local plan hearings in answer to a developer's question that housing would not be built alongside warehouses. Yet, under current proposals, warehouses are planned immediately next to existing homes on some sites. This raises serious questions about consistency and fairness in planning principles and how they are applied. Sheffield is no stranger to the long-term consequences of planning decisions that lose public trust. The legacy of the street trees dispute continues to shape how this council is viewed, including at a national level. Please learn from what is already happening elsewhere and from Sheffield's very own experience. Once warehouses of this scale are approved next to people's homes, the harm cannot be undone. You potentially will create a 60-foot wall of industrial development beside residential communities, something that will be remembered as a permanent imposition, created by a planning decision that could have been avoided. I ask councillors to recognise that reality now, before decisions are taken that our communities and this council will have to live with for generations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Moving on to item number 6, members' questions. Item 6.1 is questions on urgent business. I have received a request from Councillor Curtis Crosthorne, which wishes to ask questions under the provisions of the Council Proceedings Rule 16.6 regarding the next phase of the public consultation on the Sheffield local plan. In accordance with the procedure rule, I have decided not to grant the permission as a for Councillor Crosthorne to ask this question on the grounds that, in my opinion, the questions do not relate to the urgent business that needs to be responded for today's meeting. Councillor Crosthorne may wish to submit his questions to the next meeting of the SN Strategy and Resources Policy Committee on the 23rd of February. Item 6.2 is supplementary questions. Written and answers questions submitted by the members in advance of the meeting have been emailed to all the members, circulated at the meeting and published on the Council's website. Those questions were to the leader of the Council or any policy committee and subcommittee of regularly committee chairs. or to members appointed by the council to serve on the South Yorkshire Joint Authorities, the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, and other external body or joint committee. This item of business is to provide an opportunity for members who have submitted questions to ask on one supplementary question for each question asked. May I remind members of my early statement regarding the limit of no more than 3 supplementary questions from any councillor that will be applied for today's meeting. This is to give an opportunity for more councillors to ask a supplementary question should they wish to. In that spirit, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Point of order, Lord Mayor. Under the Council Procedure Rule 16.4 on members' questions, it states, one supplementary question on each question may be asked by the member who had submitted the original question within the time allocated. I will also note, given previous information you have provided, and given councillors have had the opportunity to contribute to a survey, that less than 20% of the members in this room have filled in that survey. So there is clear consensus that many in this room do not care one iota how many supplementary questions a member asks. There is no provision for an overall limit of 3 supplementary questions per councillor. Imposing such a limit appears inconsistent with the Constitution and very and undemocratic. I ask that the rule be applied as written, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. David Hollis to reply.
The council procedure rules are subject to the operation of the Lord Mayor operating and conducting each meeting in the way that, as the chair, they see fit. So that would allow the Lord Mayor to operate each rule in accordance with that limit that has been discussed and agreed at, between the whips and the governance committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, let's start. Hi. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And can I start by agreeing with Councillor Hunt about the need for taller microphones? That would be fantastic. Thank you for your answer to question 2, Councillor Hunt. I'm sure you agree that the ability of the public to question and challenge elected representatives is one of the most important features of a democracy. So I'm very surprised by the answer to certain questions and recent events. You are, in your response to question 2, correct that the inspector's letter was discussed with group leaders, but you neglect to mention my request for a small extension to the deadline for public questions was turned down. Similarly, Councillor Crosthorne's request to ask an urgent question on the same subject at this meeting was turned down by the Lord Mayor. So instead, we were told that questions from members of the public could be redirected to 2 meetings of the Strategy and Resources Committee. But today, just 2 days later, we're told that questions of detail from councillors or members of the public would not be permitted at any more council meetings during the next stage of the inspection process. A complete U-turn on previous commitments. The Lowcock report, as has already been said, into the tree dispute made it very clear that a lack of openness on behalf of the council played a major...
Apologies, Councillor Smith. Is it question 1 or question 2?
I'm still on question 2.
Good. But it was a massive statement, and then we just jumped on the question, so I didn't follow.
I'm just finishing off my question. Thank you, Lord Mayor. So, as has previously said, The Lowcock report into the tree dispute made it very clear that a lack of openness on behalf of the council played a major role in eroding public trust. In light of that, will you reconsider the decision not to allow further questions from the public on this subject? Thank you.
Thank you. David Hollis will reply to that. Thank you. Go ahead, David.
Just want to make, I'll let Councillor Hunt respond to the points raised, but I just want to put one point of clarification first. It has not been said that questions will not be allowed. They will be allowed to ask the questions. The council will then answer them in the way that is appropriate for the processes that are ongoing. But I think as a point of clarification, what has not been said is that questions will not be permitted.
Councillor Hunt, would you like, can we settle down? Can we, Councillor Hunt, would you like to reply?
I don't think there's anything further to add to what the monitor officers said.
Thank you. Page 4, we're back to a new year. Let's concentrate. Page 4. Question, the number of the question, please, Councillor Coates.
It's page 3, question 1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hunt, for your response. This week, though, we have heard from a chief executive of EMR who have said that they are unlikely to place an order for new trains this year because they were waiting for the electrification and they wanted battery electric units to be fitted. So with trains being 34 years old at the minute, we're still relying on diesel engines. Do you think the Labour government's decision to cut the electrification of the Midland Main Line is bad for our environment?
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
Well, look, I think, Councillor Crosthorne, I've answered quite a bit of this in my question. I will continue to push for the full electrification of Midland Main Line. Last week, we had a really important meeting, which I've set out my answer there, called the Sheffield Area Task Force, which is something which we brought together key people from the rail companies, from Simca, from the council, from national government to discuss a whole set of issues connected to Sheffield Station. And at that meeting, I made it very clear to all of the rail operating companies and to the DFT officials that we want to see the completion of electrification of the line, not only to provide a faster service, but also on the grounds of environmental reasons, in that we are operating under a Clean Air Directive from government. And one of the reasons we are not compliant is because of diesel trains that come into Sheffield Station. And I made that case in there, and the terms of reference for the Sheffield Area Task Force will now include references to Midland Main Line to make sure that this is now part of the agenda ongoing. So I think, rather than trying to score points on this one, let's try to work together because we are seeking the same thing, which is the electrification of the line.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Question 2. The guidance on this is unambiguous. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. It does say that there is a pot of money for councils such as Sheffield on the legacy system. So is the leader seriously saying that Sheffield didn't even bother to apply for funding to help produce the local plan?
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
The answer is set out there. If you've got evidence that you think contradicts that, and then please do get in touch. There's always, my door is always open, Councillor Crosthorne. You can always get in touch. We don't have to have these conversations from 30 feet away from each other. If you think that there is something we can look at, then fine. But from the information that's been provided to me by planning officers, that is correct. So if you think otherwise, let's hear it.
Thank you. Yeah, again? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Question 3. So it sounds like that the leader is unaware of the money that's available to help produce the local plan. Considering that the lack of officer time is often used as an excuse to avoid public scrutiny and democratic oversight, will the leader make sure that he looks at this so that questions can be answered and the public can have their say on the local plan?
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
Public can always have their say on the local plan. We've had questions here today, and there will be a full public consultation coming up. I hope that the Lib Dem members of the local plan member working group have raised these questions, because I think that would be the most appropriate place to have consistently done so. I don't know whether that has been the case, but I would hope so. I'm seeing a few shakes of the head over here. So, you know, let's if you want to have a proper conversation about this, let's do so. But feel free to write to me anytime.
Thank you. Nothing from the floor, please. Again, we're on page 4. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lord Mayor, and thanks for the response to my question about the committee system. I note you say that, correctly, that the governance system is protected until 2031, and you say that it will be for us to review our governance arrangements and decide on a way forward. So, does that mean that the public have no right to put forward with a 5% collection of what they want to do, that to review the governance and continue with the existing arrangements beyond 2030? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
I think, from my understanding of this situation, the current provisions on referendums are with regulations made by the Secretary of State, and there's no proposals to change them at the moment on this particular point. So I think let's have another conversation after this on that matter.
Thank you. Again, page 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay.
No, it's all right.
Councillor.
Good.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Diamond. Yeah, thank you for the answer to the question, Councillor Hunt. I mean, I suppose my question really is around the future of the site, assuming the reports are true, that the proposals aren't going ahead. Do you think this is an opportunity, perhaps through Pride in Place, working with the local community, the transport club, to revitalise this site, to bring jobs and new facilities to this area, rather than a supermarket or anything else which might worry the residents even more in terms of the speaker to me around transport and that sort of thing. Is this an opportunity, as I say, for the council, for Pride in Place, for the local community, for the transport club, for Simca, for the lotteries, Sport England, to do something about this? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
Thank you very much. Well, like Simon Clement-Jones, I am absolutely in favour of the £20 million that's been allocated to Bakemore, Drunthorpe and Low Edges by the Labour government to put money in over the next decade, and I really welcome that, along with £20 million for Parson Cross and Southey. Real investment into our communities by the Labour government. I would perhaps just though encourage that people take a look at the guidance around this, which is very much not councillors saying to communities, here's what we think the money should be used for. It is communities coming together to say this is what we would like to see in our area. So as a matter of principle, it would be wrong for either myself or Councillor Clement-Jones to say this is how Pride in Place funding should be spent. The whole purpose is that the power is put in the hands of communities to be able to decide for themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and apologies for butting in there. And thanks for your response, Councillor Hunt. So this is question 1. In answer to my question, you have said that in your view, the council has lived up to our resolution in November that Sheffield's emergent policies should not exacerbate the hostile environment. Yet the council has just adopted a new housing allocations policy, which excludes many people seeking sanctuary from the housing register. This policy does exacerbate the hostile environment. So my question is, did you whip Labour councillors to support this discriminatory policy, or did they do so of their own volition?
Thank you. Councillor Hunt?
Councillor Diamond, thank you. Look, I respect your strong views on this and understand your concerns, but I don't agree. We've got 38,000 homes in the city with a lot of demand for social housing. As you know, as Councillor Johnson knows, as chair of that committee, I think everyone recognises that the current allocations policy needs to change. The current housing register includes 10,000 people who have never bid for a property, with a further 5,000 who haven't bid in the last 12 months. That's why the policy has been changed to add in new criteria. And just to be clear on this one, we're adding in a new local connection criteria. People from elsewhere in the country won't be able to join the register until they have lived or worked in Sheffield for 3 years. This includes time spent living in accommodation provided by the Home Office towards residency. People who already own a home or have significant assets won't be able to join the register, and there will be an annual bidding requirement. These changes mean that people on the register must be actively in need of and looking for a home. As we work to increase our housing stock and work with housing associations to provide new affordable homes, I think it's absolutely right that we ensure that people on the housing register are those who are actively in need of and looking for a home. The crucial thing, though, and I think this will be reviewed annually, and I hope that, Councillor Johnson and others will be, making sure that this is implemented on the Housing Policy Committee's website. It has been a long, long time since that allocations policy was reviewed. It will now be reviewed annually, and I would like to thank everybody who took part in the consultation process, and I think that the policy that has come forward reflects the views of that, and councillors on the committee took a decision to back the new policy.
Thank you. We're still on page 5.
Yep, question 2.
Thank you.
Thanks for confirming that you will be meeting with the Sheffield Coalition Against Israeli Apartheid. Are you aware that Greenwich Council has been forced to admit that it was unlawful for them to state that the law excluded them from divesting from companies which support Israel's genocide and occupation? Are you also aware that Nottingham Council has declared an Israeli apartheid-free zone? Will you ensure that these facts are taken into account in your discussion with campaigners?
Councillor Hunt?
Of course, I look forward to the conversation, which is in the diary in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you. Page 6. Councillor Balby?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Before I say the question, I should say that I am a friend of Firth Park, a trustee of the Friends of Firth Park community allotments who are based on the Brushes allotment site. Councillor Crosthorne, thank you for your answer to my question. I wanted to ask whether, given the experience of the Brushes allotment tenants who expected to be fairly compensated for their losses by Yorkshire Water, but they're now facing real difficulties in getting the compensation that they expected because the compensation pot is capped, how can the council be confident and have any confidence in Yorkshire Water to reinstate the allotments after the work has been completed?
Thank you. Councillor Crosthorne?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you for your question. I'm sure we're all aware about how much people who use allotments love what they do and love their allotments. So it has been quite hard, actually, to see what's been happening up there and the way that they've been treated. I might be slightly speaking out of line here, so I might get told off in a minute. But personally, I don't have much faith in Yorkshire Water, especially with all the bonuses that they give their bosses and everything that they've been doing to our rivers and our allotments. But I do have faith in the council's allotment service, and I'm sure that we can try and work together to bang on the door of Yorkshire Water to try and make sure that every allotment holder receives everything that they're entitled to receive, and I know you'll work hard to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 7. Page 8. Thank you, Councillor Diamond.
I'll just wait to see if anyone's stepping on anyone's toes. Yes, thank you for your answer, and I welcome the progress outlined towards achieving local authority of sanctuary accreditation. But do you know whether or not the new policy of excluding...
Do you mind standing up when you're asking the question?
Of excluding many newly granted refugees from the housing register, as voted for by Lib Dem councillors on the committee, will jeopardise our accreditation?
Thank you, Councillor Diamond. Councillor Crosthorne?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I think it's probably worth saying first what amazing work the City of Sanctuary do with their multi-agency drop-ins, the support that they give everybody. and creating a friendly and welcoming space for people, as we hope the city does as well. But I will leave questions related to housing policy to the Housing Policy Committee. But I do know that members of the council, members of the Housing Policy Committee, indeed the chair, Councillor Douglas Johnson of the Housing Policy Committee, all worked in helping produce this policy. So I do hope that the chair of that committee worked constructively to raise any issues or anything that he wanted to say while the policy was being written.
Thank you. Councillor Maru, your page 8.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Page 8, answer 1. Thank you for your answer, Councillor Crosthorne. I did miss you greatly at the last council meeting, so welcome back. Nevertheless, I note that in the September full council meeting, it was passed that current winter cemetery opening hours limit access, impacting families from holding timely burials in accordance with their faith, and this needed to be improved. So how is it that Rotherham, Bradford, Birmingham, to name some, are councils who are willing to provide either portable floodlights or allow ratified funeral providers to bring their own, so as to facilitate those later opening times in the winter, but Sheffield City Council will not allow it? Are motions worth the paper they are written on?
Thank you. Councillor Crosthorne?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I think it's worth saying that we do have a duty of care for everybody who uses our cemeteries, so we do have to bear in mind health and safety with this, and we're not just talking about health and safety immediately around the burial site itself, but around the entire premises of the cemetery. We are undergoing a review of the service, and I'm sure that the motion that we voted on in, was it September you said? In September, will be taken into account as we produce that review of the service.
Thank you. Page 9, Councillor Raouf.
Thank you. Answer 2, question 2. Sorry, just going on that burial services review, when will that review have been undertaken by and processes and options have been explored, so my constituents do not have to wait longer than necessary to bury their loved ones?
Thank you. Councillor Crosthorne?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll be honest, I probably should have, but I haven't committed the work programme to memory, so I will have to get back to you on that one, but it's within I can't actually remember, so I'm not going to promise anything. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13. Yeah.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Dale, for the answer to the questions. I think we know, and certainly I know we were all contacted by parents over the last few weeks, that many parents across the city are very concerned about the effect of mobile phones, especially smartphones, and their use within schools. So I am pleased to see that this is being taken to the Sheffield Safeguarding Children Partnership, and I understand that the petition was actually presented yesterday at the policy meeting and that a decision was taken to set up a task and finish group. So just to say, I absolutely welcome all that, and I hope other councillors will too. And I just wondered if you had any timescale for that, because I think ideally we would like to have some more advice in place ready for the start of the new school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dale?
Thank you, Councillor Alston. We asked for the task and finish group to be formed yesterday. Work is currently underway looking at the terms of reference for that and looking at the report, so that should be finalised soon. I've asked for this to be done urgently and as soon as possible. We're already doing a piece of work, I've actually met with the petitioners to look at what other local authorities have adopted. So I can say that we're looking at Brighton and Hove, Ealing and Barnet councils who have adopted this and have put information on their websites for parents, offering advice and guidance. I would also like to say that we have our community youth teams that are already going out into schools to work with children, but you're right, it is imperative that we offer that support to parents. I would like to say that we will have the terms of reference and the task and finish set up by the next Education, Children and Families Policy Committee. We will have a date. The invitation is open for cross-party support, and we will be inviting academics, parents, young people and providers of services to young children to be involved in that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We're still on 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Joe, for the answer. It's really helpful. I was wondering if you could possibly get me further details on the number of CPWs and CPNs that have been issued, maybe in the last year, and also by ward.
Thank you. Councillor Alton?
Yeah, I believe we can get that. Thank you.
Page 18 again, 90, 18 again. Councillor Brock.
Do that one as well. Can I also request some consideration for streets in Crooks? That might be appropriate for trials for European style bins. I can give you a list.
Thank you. Yes, of course you can. I don't think we excluded Crooks from the answer. That certainly wasn't our intention. You'll recall, won't you? We used to be the deputy chair of this committee, and we were discussing it even back then. So, you know, the fact that we're making some progress on that, I think, is something we can all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 19, Councillor Douglas. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Bristol and Salt, thank you for the figures confirming the amount of salt that was used over the winter so far, and we'll see what happens next. You said there hasn't been any grit used, and I wanted to ask if you thought it would be a good idea if you could actually put some grit down on places like the station forecourt, where people, A, go to work, and B, fall over a lot on ice.
Thank you. Councillor Otten?
Well, again, the exact compound that's appropriate for use on pedestrian areas is not exactly the same as the rock salt for the roads or the grit. You may be aware that we have this year acquired a new vehicle for pedestrian areas in the city centre, which would include the station forecourt. That is also freeing up large numbers of individuals to go and help clear pedestrian areas elsewhere in the city. So we are expecting, we understood we have a better offer this year in terms of pedestrian safety in the city centre, and I hope we can all welcome that.
Thank you. Councillor Douglas again?
Thanks very much. That was question one. Yeah, I did see the gritter. I've got a great picture of it there in front of some people on their backs on the station forecourt. It needs to be operating. Question three, though. Question three is about burning of anything that produces smoke. And this is about the council smoke control area, about the enforcement of it. And it's nothing new to say that we've all addressed issues of a lot of smoke in the city. You said that the City Council, so presumably through your committee, will respond to the government consultation, and that's, I think, very welcome. I want to ask what commitments there are to work cross-party and whether this is going to be brought to committee, given the extent of public interest that we probably all get.
Yes, as you're aware, the makeup of our committee is that it's already a cross-party one. But I agree with the sentiment. I appreciate the offer of collaboration on this issue. I only wish that when I raised strategy and resources, the issue of wood-burning stoves under planning policy a couple of years ago, that perhaps you could have supported me on that.
Thank you. Page 19? Yeah, one more.
So, again, on the enforcement, on question 5 there, it's indicated that there's been no prosecutions for breach of the smoke control area, despite what we all see in the city. Question is, does it give the green light for people to burn waste?
Can I? Yeah. Can everyone settle down, please? Yeah. Yeah. Mick wants to hear. Can you answer that question again, please?
Do you want me to ask the question again? Okay, yeah. I should say something about not having a tall enough mic, but I don't think it's the mic height that's the problem here.
Okay, now you're interrupting, so...
We can't have interruptions.
No, not today.
The question, Councillor, was on question 5 of my question to Councillor Otten, saying there'd be no prosecutions no financial penalties issued for emitting smoke in any of the whatever it's called, smoke-controlled area of the city. And I just want to ask if Councillor Otten agrees that that gives people a green light to burn rubbish without risk of penalty, and whether it's something the committee will take up.
Thank you. No, I don't agree. I don't agree that the absence of prosecutions gives anybody a green light. Nobody wants a green light, green anything. If you but I will say that there is a new enforcement policy, a refresh of the environmental enforcement policy that is coming to my committee on Friday. So do please have a conversation with your group's members on my committee, and they can raise any questions on the detail of that. The strategy goes through a number of enforcement options, of which prosecution is only one of them. So saying there's no prosecution does not mean there is no enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Fox. I know how frustrated you are, but we have to listen. 19, page 19, page 20. Yes, Councillor. Councillor Elliott, there you go.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just one question on potholes. I've reported a number in my ward recently, and I'm sure everyone else has here as well. So there's definitely a major issue. In their response, the contractor says that there's a recent increase in defects, and they also say that the defects on, for example, Rushdale Road, are lower category and don't pose an imminent hazard. But the problem is that the whole road is now defective and a hazard. So I just wondered, is that considered in the analysis, not just the size, but the quantity of the potholes?
Councillor Otten?
Thank you. Yes, no, it's not an entirely straightforward question. So there is obviously the potholes themselves individually classified into Cat 1 and Cat 2, and Cat 1 are fixed within 24 hours. Cat 2 are fixed eventually, but it's a matter of constant negotiation exactly when they get done. The scoring system for a whole road comes under a different part of the service and part of the contract. So the whole road scores below a certain level, then it is scheduled for resurfacing. The resurfacing schedule is one that is an annual schedule, so that doesn't necessarily happen very quickly, and it is an issue, I think, with the way the contract has always operated. That part of the service is necessarily not an immediate response, nor could it be reasonably. Now, what I would say is that we have, since almost a year ago, when we agreed the contract refresh, that did bring in a new asset management strategy, which involves more preemptive treatment of roads before they reach a condition as poor as that you described. So I would hope, I mean, we haven't got the figures on that, but I hope that's improved that. We'll keep an eye out for the figures. When we've got the figures on that, we'll see if that's actually worked in terms of delivering that. But I mean, I think you're right to raise the broader issue. It is a feature of the way all this works. Thank you.
Thank you. As the time limit of members' questions has reached, I shall now move on to the next item of business, and then we can have a break. We probably will. Item number 7, litter and dog fouling enforcement delegation report. This is a maximum of time limited of 25 minutes for this item. This item of business is to approve the delegation of certain litter and dog fouling enforcement power of the City of Doncaster Council as recommended by the Environmental Services and Regulation Policy Committee at its meeting held on the 12th of December 2025. The report of Executive Director, Neighbourhood Services, which was published at the agenda for this meeting, provides details of the agreement to be entered into the Doncaster Council. For the agreement to be effective, the relevant powers need to be delegated by full council. The motion to approve the delegation on the power is set out in the list of motions circulated at the meeting. The motion is to be moved by Councillor Otten, Chair of Environmental Services and Regulation Policy Committee, and seconded by Mark Ruslin, the Deputy Chair of the committee. Councillor Otten.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I don't intend to do a full speech on this. I just wanted to say this has been discussed by the committee as a proposal. We've offered an opportunity to collaborate with Doncaster Council on enforcement of littering, dog filing, and so on. That involves buying into a system where they have things like an efficient back office, which allows them to do this more efficiently than we were doing it. And so the offer is therefore that we at no additional cost we can have more enforcement of littering and dog filing and so on. So I think it's a really positive thing for the city. It's been discussed at the committee and supported, and I hope full council will support it. It has to come here because it involves delegating a power of our council to Doncaster. It's not an exclusive delegation, doesn't mean that we can't also do it, and so there might be occasions where we send out our own officers as well, but in principle the idea is that it goes through this arrangement that we have with Doncaster. And I think we'll all agree in this chamber that the problems of dog fouling and problems of litter across the whole of the city are something that the residents are really care about, and rightly so, and they want us to take more action. And so this is a good news story, and it's a chance for us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ruslin.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I was going to formally second, but I don't think it would do this justice. Because on the surface, this might be about litter and dog dirt, but it goes to the heart of what government is for, because it's about giving every Sheffielder the same freedom to chart their path in life and to flourish in their communities. It's actually not about dog dirt, it's about liberty, equality and fraternity. Because government is often derided for not getting on with their core mission. We tie ourselves up with consultations, deliberations, negotiations, option papers, stakeholders, discussions. We focus on process and we don't focus on priorities, on getting things done. Because this motion, if you excuse the pun, cracks on with it. It gets things done. Because you don't have the liberty to get on with your life if your street and your community is covered in rubbish and dog dirt, if it feels like it's on the decline. Some communities have to put up with that more than others, so it's about equality as well. And you can't trust everybody in your community if some people are happy to befoul on their own doorstep. So it's also about fraternity. And Lord Mayor, liberty, let's be a bit more English about it, freedom, is at the heart of this motion. The freedom to be proud of your street. And our freedoms are connected. The freedom to turn on your heating without worrying about the bill, the freedom to leave your home without worrying about being mugged, the freedom to send your child on the bus or tram, maybe even to Stocksbridge, without worrying about the ticket, the freedom to not worry about waiting weeks for the doctor, the freedom to go on holiday, the freedom to enjoy life. That's what government should be about, and that's what this motion is about. It's practical, it's about priorities, it's about getting things done. So I'll shut up. Let's crack on with it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Kubo, you're up next.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As spokesperson on this committee, I just want to endorse the policy. I think it's a very sensible policy. Dog fouling and littering are areas that we have struggled across the city, as both my previous speakers have mentioned. We have struggled to find the resources to do this. This has presented us with a wonderful opportunity. It is a one-year contract. We can try it out. If it works for us, we can carry on. If it doesn't work for us, we're under no obligation. So it seems to me to be a win-win opportunity to get our streets cleaner and nicer places, and so we can all have this freedom that Mark was talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I call Councillor Fran Belbin on this one?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I do support this proposal. I suppose I want to say, first of all, that we shouldn't let any discussion around litter, fly tipping and dog fouling go on without thanking all the volunteers who work across this city to pick up litter day in, day out. I know they're working in all your wards, and they're certainly working hard in my ward as well. So I really welcome the proposal. I'm particularly pleased, though, to see that enforcement won't just be focused on the city centre, and I think at the moment that feels as if where most of the enforcement does happen. Certainly I know in Firth Park Ward we've got a district centre which, even though it is cleaned really regularly, is still full of litter very, very often. And when you get out onto our estates, the problems of litter and particularly of fly tipping are really, really bad. I've got one tree in Firth Park which attracts so much fly tipping that I've got an ongoing email chain with Streets Ahead instead of reporting it individually. So I very much hope that there will be ways for councillors to influence where these new officers go and ensure that we are tackling some of the worst areas of the city. And I also hope that we actually get some learning out of this contract, because it does seem to me quite remarkable that we cannot cover the, we're spending more on enforcement currently than we're collecting in fines, given the extent of fly tipping and so on in the city. I'd also hope that we're looking at some of the commercial offenders with this contract, where we can actually do quite a lot bigger fines, and that we are bringing in more funding to do more of this work. The enforcement and the fines should pay for themselves, and I hope we'll take some learning from this contract and that this will be successful.
Thank you very much. Can I call upon Ben Miskell?
Lord Mayor, over the weekend I had the pleasure of joining Michael and Ben at the Arbourthorne Recreation Ground, and I guess like Councillor Belbin has just alluded to there and talked about, in neighbourhoods right across our city, people are doing some absolutely outstanding work, clearing litter, caring for spaces and bringing residents together to drive improvements. And I'm pleased to say that those residents that I saw at the weekend are going to be starting their own Friends of Arbourthorne Recreation Ground group, and that is a really good thing. But Lord Mayor, I think as other people have said today, those bags of rubbish, those kind of discarded car parts, the nitrous oxide canisters, the crisp packets, even paraphernalia from illegal activities like cannabis farms have absolutely no place in our communities. Of course, we should be saying yes to the positivity that is shown by residents like Michael and Ben, who I saw the weekend, who take real pride in their neighbourhoods. We must also say a real firm no to those who commit what are environmental crimes and blight our shared spaces. That's why I really support this work to crack down on littering, dog fouling that's mentioned this proposal. And I really do welcome this really tough approach to enforcement, because measures like these, we do know, attract the overwhelming support of the majority of people in our wards and across this city, who simply want to live in clean, safe and well-kept neighbourhoods. And this sort of tougher action against rule breakers is exactly what this council should be doing.
Thank you very much. If anyone else wants to speak, let me know. Councillor Dunn? I've got Mike Chaplin as well, but I've got Councillor Dunn as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Not sure how that came about, that little mix-up. I too want to speak up for the many litter pickers across Sheffield who go out regularly and do litter picking, and certainly in the more outlying parts of our city, wonder when we last sent an officer up to impose fines on people who are just discarding bits of litter here and there. Fox Hill's had a litter pick group now for about 5 or 6 years, started before COVID, and I'm very grateful to Jeff in that group for keeping it going, and for the helpers he's had from Susan and Kath and Pem, who are the regulars, but we also have other people come along, including myself, but I have to say not yet this year, who've been out with them. And I hope we've been covering the estates, so I do hope that these agents will go out to some of our estates, not just as well as the district centres, and I hope too that they'll look at some of the green spaces. We've got a wonderful litter pick group run by Mandy, who covers an area called Tungutter, which really doesn't do the stream justice, and spent a lot of time with a group cleaning up that area. So I do hope that this, through this contract, it will be more wide-ranging than just focusing on the city centre. But fully support this and welcome it too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Basharat?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Like my colleagues and everyone else, I obviously, of course, support this motion. As a councillor for Netherledge and Sharrow, littering, fly tipping and dog filing are issues I hear about regularly from residents. They affect pride in place and the quality of our shared spaces, particularly around schools and busy streets. One local primary school in my ward, Lord Mayor, Netherledge Primary School surrounding area, is a frequent hotspot for litter. And just this morning, we was contacted about ongoing problems there, showing how immediate and persistent these concerns are for families. Like others, I take this seriously and regularly join and encourage litter picks. Just recently on London Road, I witnessed a cigarette box being thrown after a passenger got out of a car and crossed over. Being not aware of the hard work being done with the Love London Road group to keep the area clean and safe, I respectfully approached the driver to share that his friend had littered. He apologised and engaged in the conversation. As I walked past, I picked up the cigarette box thinking it was empty, but it was full. We all know how much that costs. I went back and gave it to the driver, who thanked me, and I explained that it probably fell out of his friend's pocket, but the message about being mindful had been shared. I also want to recognise the fantastic community work happening across Sheffield, including my ward. To name a few, families with children who carry out regular litter picking on Morden Road and Southview Road, young litter pickers supported by Medina Mosque and Lansdowne and Leverton litter pickers. These residents, many individuals and business owners give their time because they care deeply, Lord Mayor, about their communities, and they deserve our support.
Thank you.
So I fully support this, and a big shout out to all the litter pickers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Our last speaker, Councillor Norris.
Well,
everybody, you know, it's very important that we listen to each other, and some people got really soft voice, but when you're having your own conversation, we're going to have a break in a minute, so if we can just have that little bit of, you know, mindful about other people trying to put their case across. Thank you.
well, litter picking and dog fouling is a big issue in Woodhouse and Handsworth, my ward. And I shout out to the S13 Keep It Clean group, who are formidable in what they'll go after and pick up, and work well, coordinate well with Amy as well. But this is a next step, because it helps stop people dumping in the first place. And I know of at least... sorry, is it?
Oh, it's Councillor Bashar.
Okay. I know of at least one ward, one street in my ward where a business has gone around and said, we'll take your rubbish for you. People have paid them, they've gone round the corner and fly tipped the lot. And then the council has to pick it up. And that, we spend money a lot of money picking that up that we could spend on improving our area. So I'm really glad that it's for a year with a review. And what I'm hoping is that this will mean more people like that get caught and stopped. And we can use that money for improvements rather than clearing up other people's mess.
Joe Otten, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you. And can I say on that last point, it's worth passing on the message. If you do engage somebody to take away your waste, they should have a waste permit from the Environment Agency. Take a picture of that with your phone or note down the number, because if they then go and dump your waste and you have no evidence of who's taking it away, you are on the hook for that, for a fine for that waste being dumped. So it's really important advice to get out there. And I welcome and endorse all the comments. I think the summary is that every ward, this is an important issue. Every ward, we're proud of our volunteers, totally litter pickers. I want to pay tribute to, but also that we had about 50 volunteers come to last year to clean out Redcar Brook after some really egregious fly tipping in that. Bags and bags and bags and bags of waste. I wasn't able to last all day. My back was done in, but you know the people kept going all day on clearing that out and got a huge amount of waste out of there. I just want to say, I never thought I would ever have so many Labour councillors speak in favour of a proposal that I brought to this chamber. So I'm absolutely delighted by that. And maybe it had to happen eventually. I never thought it would happen on a proposal to outsource a service. So isn't that marvellous? Thank you very much.
Thank you for everyone, and I hope you are all logged in, because we're going to move to the vote on this motion to be agreed. I will take the silence as affirmation if everyone agrees. Yeah? Thank you so much. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. What time do we come back? Can we all come back? Yeah? Can we all come back at 3:45, please? 45, everybody needs to be on 3:45, please. 3:45, 3:45. Everyone sit on their seats. Maximum time limit of 25 minutes on this item. This item, people are still talking. This item of business is to approve a housing revenue account business plan and budget for 2026 to 2027 at its meeting held on 21st of January 2026. The Strategy and Resources Policy Committee approved a series of recommendations for consideration by the Council today. The report of the Executive Director, Neighbourhood Services, which was published with the agenda for this meeting, provides details of the business plan and the budget. A supplementary report on the government's announcement made on the 28th of January 2026 on its decision on how to implement social rent and the impact of the decision on the business plan and budget was published yesterday. The supplementary report also provided update recommendation for consideration by the full Council. A motion to approve those recommendations was circulated to all the members and published on the Council's website this morning. Copies of the motions are available in the venue. There are no proposed amendments. May I call Councillor Johnson, a chair of the Housing Policy Committee, to move the motion. You may speak up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I'm actually very pleased to present the Housing Revenue Account business plan. You've got quite a chunky report in the agenda papers, and as Lord Mayor's already pointed out, you've got a supplementary report that gives you the detail of that last-minute government announcement. And in short, it's quite technical, but it means that as a result of the government's decision, we've got about £3.5 million less in this coming financial year to invest in than we were hoping for. And I know that a lot of local authorities will be disappointed by that. But nevertheless, for Sheffield, investment is still there. And this business plan over the next 5 years is about investment in council housing. And for me, that's really important. I think it is for a lot of people here. And so I know how much people care about it. And I want to say, actually, across the committee, we have discussed this at length. It is an area where we've got agreement and we've got some good shared beliefs and an outcome of this. This issue about investment, it's about investment in tenants' homes. It's also about investment in our staff and skills across the council's workforce. And ultimately it's about investment in the future of Sheffield's as in stock over the next 30 years. That's so important. I often say that council housing is a vital public service, and it's something that in Sheffield we should be proud of. So next year the investment starts with putting more money still into repairs and maintenance. That's very welcome. As you know, the council housing service has been turning around its improvement on repairs and maintenance. There'll be an extra £3 million, nearly £3 million into more repairs next year. And that's quite right, because our tenants deserve to live in warm, safe, well-maintained homes. And then the business plan in front of you goes on to focus on investment over the next 5 years. So that's investing in the fabric of homes. And some figures here, £52 million on wall insulation and structural repairs, and that will drive as many houses as possible, up to at least EPC level 3. New roofing, big roofing programme, obviously containing insulation, solar panels there. Then kitchens, bathrooms, upgrades to boilers and electricals, £93 million over 5 years. 59 million for the district heating infrastructure, fire safety lifts, communal areas, another 66 million. These are big sums, and I'm really pleased we can get them in there. And it also includes 25 million on the big regeneration schemes over in Gilligan Valley, and the re-roofing programme at Edward Street flats in the city centre. So all in all, over 5 years, that's £500 million of investment in our council tenants. So managed by our staff at the council, and of course ultimately paid for by our tenants. It's the people of Sheffield who are tenants who are paying into this. There's no subsidy for government.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'll pause there. You'll get the message.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Tom Hunt, Chair of Strategy and Resources Policy Committee, to second the motion. You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be able to second this motion. The HRA business case sets out how we are working to improve the quality and the quantity of council housing in the city. Last year, I was really pleased to be able to attend the groundbreaking of 36 new council homes at Bowl Hill View, a 100% affordable housing development. It goes alongside the new council homes that we're building at Newstead in Burley, the new council homes that will be there at Corker, Bottoms and more. The business case sets out our commitment to deliver around 1,000 new council homes by 2029. And as Councillor Johnson said, it also sets out how our 5-year capital investment programme will make a difference to the lives of tenants. The roofings programme will provide new roofs, fascias and guttering to around 5,000 homes. We're planning to also put solar panels on 60 blocks of flats. We're moving forward with the regeneration schemes at Edward Street flats and at Gilligan Valley. 3,000 homes will benefit from our programme to upgrade kitchens, bathrooms, windows and doors. We will replace around 1,200 boilers over the next few years. Fire safety work in 20 blocks will take place, as well as upgrades to shared and communal areas. And really importantly, we will deliver adaptations to around 600 properties. The work includes the installations of level access, showers, ramps, stair lifts, floor lifts and other property adaptations so that people can continue to live in accessible homes. This will make a real tangible difference to people's lives to ensure that our tenants can live in safe, secure, warm, decent homes. This budget has been prepared with cross-party support, and I hope that it will continue to have cross-party support today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now open for debate. Can I call my first speaker, Councillor Baker, Deputy Chair of Housing?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And as both the previous speakers have said, we have made considerable progress this year through repairs, through improving areas as well as properties. And I think it's a good time to say thank you. Thank you to the new officers we've got. There's been a major change around in offices, and it's always very difficult when you end up with a situation where you've got more new people than people who knew the history. But they worked together and made a big difference, and I think we should thank them all. I also think we should thank the tenants representatives that have given an awful lot of time and an awful lot of energy to communicating with their colleagues and working with us. And this, in the long run, makes a major difference because we need to consult with them. We need to know what they need. We need to know if we made a mistake. And it's, let's say they are all quite forthcoming, which is quite useful. It is really quite a good picture here, but there is a bad side to it as well. Though we're struggling and trying very hard to increase the number of council houses, the right to buy is still there. It's been improved. It's a lot better situation than we were before. But if we can carry on this trajectory and we can't increase the number of properties that we have as council houses, by the time it comes to 54, 55, which is the end of our 30-year run, we are going to have 2,600 less council properties than we have today. So that, as a healthy council, we should see as a challenge, something that we can work out and make a difference for. But I think you see why it is so important that we get things right, look after our current stock and handle the way we deal with the allocations of it. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can I call Councillor Belbin, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I echo Councillor Baker's thanks to the officers who've been involved in developing this paper and all the tenants who have also been consulted on it. I think that this HRA business plan actually represents a turning point that we've been asking for some years. It's a real shift from turning the balance of our budget from reactive repairs to upfront investment in our council homes. And we talk about prevention quite a lot in this council, and this is prevention in action. By investing, by putting that investment in, we reduce the number of repairs we will need in the future. And that is so welcome after the decade and more of underinvestment by the last government. And I think we should also be clear that it's made possible by the actions of the current government, the improved national framework that includes the 10-year rent settlement, that includes the reform of right to buy, and is also nationally investing in housing across the country. So with this budget, we're setting an ambition of investing £60 million a year into our stock by 2029. And that includes an uplift, or that's in addition to an uplift to our repairs budget to set it at a more realistic rate instead of being consistently overspent. It will also address the regulatory and safety issues that we've got on our estate. I know Councillors Hunt and Johnson have listed some of the capital programme, how that is being invested and how we will deliver more council housing, 1,000 extra council homes. I also want to emphasise the work that we are carrying out to transform our housing service and to make our repair service much more effective, to turn around void properties much more quickly, to ensure our buildings are safe and to tackle homelessness. We have already seen improvements in some of those services, but we've obviously got a lot further to go. And crucially, we need to be putting our customers at the heart of this by using data and technology more effectively so that they can get through to us more easily, but also to make sure that time is freed up to deal with those customers who might not be able to use online services. Housing transformation is central to the HRA budget, so I hope all colleagues will support this budget proposal, which sets out a positive future for Sheffield Council housing.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I call upon Councillor Crossbourne? You're next.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Sorry, I was expecting to be waiting a while for that. So I will be supporting the HRA today, not because everything is fixed, but because it gives us the framework to start getting things right for our city. No one who lives in a council home experiences housing policy through a business plan. They experience it every single day. They experience it when a leak gets repaired quickly, or it doesn't. They experience it when damp is dealt with properly, or it keeps coming back. And they experience it when they're trying to get a hold of somebody on the phone, or maybe they're the ones being put on hold. So while it's right that this plan does focus on improving repairs, reducing overdue jobs, and getting things right first time, the real test won't be what's written here, it'll be what's written in our email inboxes. So as I say, I will be supporting this plan, but it comes with one simple expectation, that people do see real improvements in their home, not just improvements on paper. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mark Dyer? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I also am very pleased to support this plan. As a member of the Housing Policy Committee, it's really good to see it come forward. Over the last 100 years, this council has supported building council houses all across the city and rebuilding after the war, building that future and giving those homes to people. So I'm really glad that this plan is following that investment plan in our tenants. So this HRA budget invests over £500 million in tenants' properties over the next 5 years, a proactive approach, as we've been discussing, to make sure we're not doing those reactive repairs that costs us more money and affects our tenants' lives negatively. But I cannot talk about council housing without, again, welcoming the new homes in my ward on the Newsteads estate. I'm very annoyed Councillor Hunt has stolen the thunder and allowed me to talk about it. But this is part of a plan of delivering over 1,000 homes across the city, council homes across the city. Finally, I want to thank officers for their work towards this paper and for council tenants for helping shape these priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Livery? Councillor Livery?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you for the paper. It's really, really interesting, and I'd like to echo what Penny Baker said about the new team, the staff, and the commitment that's going in to keep our properties maintained. But I'd still like to point out one or two things, particularly on money, which is no surprise when it comes from me. And this is the 7th consecutive year that the maintenance budget has been overspent. Overspent by an amount that's higher than next year's budget. So we still have a long way to go in getting control of our revenue spend on repairs and maintenance. And I think it really needs a close look at. The second point I wanted to make was about voids. Putting together a dedicated voids team was absolutely the right way to go to try and get voids under control. And in the first year, in 2024-25, there was a significant drop in the amount of rent missing due to void properties. But this year it's flattened out. And we don't appear to be making the progress we have. Perhaps we've sorted out some of the easy issues and now we're into the difficult ones. But we really need to put a drive on voids to get them reduced even further. And so the team need to look at what they're doing to make sure that we can actually drive that down again. If we can get below 3 million next year in terms of lost rent, that'd be a great success. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much. Councillor Norris?
As another Housing Committee member, I want to also acknowledge that this is part of continuing improvement in the service. Our latest progress report shows that last year, 96.9% of emergency repairs were done in time, and 82.4% of non-emergency repairs were done in time. Independent feedback shows that tenant satisfaction with the repair service continues to improve. People have mentioned void turnarounds. That's fixing up homes that people have left and getting them back out to rent in decent condition. We're doing that 10 days faster at the start of this year than we were at the end of last year. And Councillor Livery points out there has been some flattening off, and it is partly because there are more complex voids, but we have a specialist team for that now. More improvements are needed, but I genuinely feel, and you're getting it across party, that we're going in the right direction. There's been hard work from staff, better support from management, and a more stable policy environment from national government, and that all contributes. The 26-27 business plan moves us very firmly away from patching up towards investment and proper refurbishment, which will cut our costs long term and provide a better service to tenants. I wholeheartedly recommend that the committee approves this business plan.
Thank you, Alison. Can I call Councillor Williams? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Compared to some of my colleagues, I've really been on the Housing Committee for a short period of time. And I'll be perfectly honest with you all, sitting here as a non-member of the Housing Committee over the past few years, I used to listen to the criticism that came in wave after wave of the Housing Committee and housing generally in Sheffield. So I joined the committee with a degree of trepidation. How wrong could I have been? To sit on there for almost a year now, I've seen so much good work in trying to sort this out. And it is sorting it out. And central to that is, of course, the HRA. It's a strange setup, which I'm still getting my head around, but we've only got a certain amount of money, and what we get in, we're allowed to spend certain parts of it. Later on today, we may or may not debate through a motion about the Renters' Rights Act that's come to Parliament. And that talks about, and central to that is the right of people in the private sector to have a decent home, be treated decently by their landlord. Well, isn't that true of people in social housing as well? And I think central to that is the work done by the committee, by the officers, who are doing a tremendous job. It's a difficult one. I mean, the mountains are very high to climb, but I would ask you all to support this motion today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I call upon Councillor Minash Porak, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. There's a lot for us to be positive about in this HRA business plan. Millions more to be spent on housing repairs, to put solar panels on our tower blocks, and to retrofit council homes. As a Crooks and Crosspool councillor, I've been particularly pleased to follow the 36 new council flats to be built at Bowl Hill View at the border of Walkley and Crooks. As many of you know, I'm a proud socialist, and new, affordable, council-built and council-owned homes is what socialism looks like in action. It's a guarantee of safety and security for that household, which then pays for new homes for others. But Lord Mayor, as important as the HRA budget is for council tenants, we must also recognise that most residents in this city, sadly, do not live in council homes. And the council has a duty to support these residents with their housing needs too. And that's why we're also bringing a motion later today on renters' rights. The government's Renters' Rights Act brings with it new enforcement powers for councils to tackle bad landlords, which we must act on through earlier and stronger enforcement action to protect our city's tenants. That motion also proposes the council consider introducing new landlord licensing schemes so we can regulate our broken housing market and drive up conditions for our city's renters. Because, council, housing is a holistic issue that needs joined-up thinking. Building new council homes, retrofitting existing ones, and regulating bad landlords helps us have a unified approach to our housing issues across the city and lets us drive up housing standards for everyone. Hopefully, you'll back the HRA account, but also back the motion for new land licensing schemes too, so we can have a unified approach that supports council tenants, private tenants, and homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Al-Hadi?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So this year I'm allowed to highlight things on the budget, which I wasn't last year, so we're making slow improvements. Unfortunately, I cannot back this budget, with all due respect to the amazing work done by the officers, given their limitations. The city is struggling, and I know I might upset many councillors with this speech, but I'm here to represent my local ward and their needs and their families. We've got many issues that have not been addressed, including the overspend, and yet we're requiring for residents to pay more and more. For the next 3 years, we're going to be increasing by 4.9%, and that's only the minimum, the maximum we're allowed to introduce. Therefore, I think radical change must be introduced, and we have to overthink how we make our decisions, because it just looks like we're heading towards a decline. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Chaplin?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Councillor Williams just spoke about getting his head around the housing revenue account budget on coming on to the housing committee. I'm not currently on the housing committee, but I have had a spell on there. But it is instructive that that budget is kept separate because it is a budget for the council tenants. It means that we can't use council tax to spend towards maintaining our council housing stock. We can't use the business rate towards maintaining the council housing stock. That's why I'm really pleased that we've now got a government that is committed to giving us some stability by allowing us to to set the rents at a level that we can manage, which means that we can invest. And you've heard eloquently from Councillor Belbin, from Douglas Johnson and Minesh about some of the good things that will come as a result of that. I would like to remind members that we had 14 years of a Tory government and a Tory coalition government that was not interested in council housing stock or the tenants within, but they came up with a good wheeze, the Conservatives, in around 2016, that they would reduce council rents year on year by 1%. So council tenants must have thought, oh great, you know, we're not having to spend so much money on rent. But it's had a long-term impact on our ability to manage our housing stock, to replace kitchens, bathrooms, modernise the computer equipment that's needed to monitor those, both the repairs and the maintenance programmes. So I really welcome this because it's giving us some stability.
Thank you, Councillor.
And ask you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. May I offer the right to reply to the mover of the motion, Councillor Douglas Johnson? You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the members of the Housing Committee who've spoken today, because it is a genuine thanks to people for being cooperative throughout the year. And actually we share a lot of values about the importance of social housing and why it's so important for our tenants. And I should address the issue, I think Councillor Abdal raised the question of not putting up rents, I think implicitly. It's true, we could take the choice not to put up rents if we wanted a council that was going to have cuts and job losses, reductions in services to tenants, fewer repairs being done, and less investment in the fabric of our homes, and for the stock increases that Councillor Hunt mentioned and Councillor Dwyer as well. If we wanted less of that, yeah, we could keep the rent down. But this is where we are. Rent goes up with a little bit above inflation. It is really important. Councillor Baker pointed out there's been considerable progress, and Councillor Belbin was saying we're at this turning point, and I think it does feel like that. It feels that that tenant satisfaction is going up, and that is backed by the data, which has shown that tenants are responding favourably to the improvements that they're seeing in the housing estate across the city, and that's so important because it's where everyone lives. So moving away from the patching up, as Councillor Norris has said, and there's some really important comments on the voids there, that statute is improving significantly. Of course, it can't go on improving forever because there are just fewer of them. The council needs to be a decent landlord, and I think we are moving in that right direction. So I'm pleased to see there is broad support for the business plan over the course of the year. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. I am now going to move to the vote on the motion, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support for the motion. Is the motion agreed? You're not agreed. Okay, so we're gonna... Dissent, yeah. Yeah. I didn't say dissent. Are you objecting to the whole motion? Yeah, abstain. Yeah. So we'll move on to vote. Is everybody logged in after the break, please? Just double check. We've got 76 members in this room, so we need 76 voting. May I remind members to the vote is on the motion moved by Councillor Johnson. Can I ask that the vote be commenced now and request the members to complete the 2 steps of the voting processes within 30 seconds. Let's see how we are. 2026. Here we go. Thank you, everyone. The motion is carried, 72-4, and 4 abstained. Thank you. Item number 9, a notice of motion regarding free bus travel for children and young people in Sheffield. There is a maximum time limit of 25 minutes for this item. The motion was published with the agenda and it's also set out on the list of amendments documents circulated at the meeting. May I call Councillor Janet Ridler to move the motion? You may speak up to 3 minutes, Janet.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. 6 months ago, Barnsley's Labour Council took the bold step of introducing a scheme offering free bus travel to all under 18s across the town. And the results have been remarkable because under this short period of time, over 1 million journeys have taken place made by young people in Barnsley. And these journeys have not only provided young people and children with free travel, they've also delivered much more far-reaching benefits as well. The scheme has helped to protect the environment by reducing car use. It's lightened the financial burden on families who are struggling with the rising cost of living. And it's opened doors for Barnsley's children and young people, removing barriers that had once held them back. And in Barnsley, it's remarkable to note that 63% of all the journeys that have been taken during this period have begun in the town's most deprived neighbourhoods. So it's really benefiting the people who need it most. And if we were to do this in Sheffield, it would have a similarly transformative impact to us. Now, Labour is committed to improving public transport for everyone, and introducing free travel for under 18s ahead of bus franchising next year would be another positive step in running our buses as a public service and not for private profit. The government's investment of £45 billion in the Northern Powerhouse rail upgrade is another firm commitment by Labour to improve rail travel in the north. And I welcome this government's investment as part of this into exploring as well how to expand the tram network, including connecting my own ward of Stocksbridge and Upper with the city centre. Now, free bus travel for children is much more than a transport policy because it introduces independence, it unlocks new opportunities, it enhances well-being by allowing greater access to social activities. And it encourages as well sustainable travel habits and builds children's confidence in using public transport for an early age. South Yorkshire's Mayor has committed to expanding free travel for under 18s, and Barnsley's led the way. And in Sheffield, we need to do this as well. We need to use this as a positive template without delay. So I urge you all to support this motion and join us in shaping a brighter future for the city's young people. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Karen McGowan to second the motion? You may speak up to 2 minutes, Karen.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm pleased to be seconding this motion today to extend Barnsley's travel pilot for young people 18 and under here in Sheffield. This is a fantastic news for the young people of this city. This scheme is already being piloted in Barnsley and is a huge success, especially for those from deprived areas. It's shown that over 500,000 extra journeys were taken in the first few months of the pilot. A scheme like this in Sheffield would be a real boost for the bus network in preparation for public control and help families who are struggling with the cost of living. I want to specifically talk about the difference this will make to the young people and families in the southeast of the city, especially Burley Ward that I represent. For a long time now, southeast councillors have been raising concerns about the inequality of having no sixth form for our young people in the southeast. Having no sixth form means those living in the southeast have to travel across the city. This doesn't only disadvantage them by putting a financial burden on families, but they have the additional travel time to and from their educational establishments. This also impacts on their opportunities to socialise outside the school with peers compared to those living in the west of the city. Only last month at our South East Lag public meeting, we brought together the Sheffield City Council's Director of Children and Young People, Head of Sheffield College, Heads of Burley Academy and Park Academy, so they could speak to members of the public to raise their concerns and we could find a way forward. This also as a member of the admissions committee, we get many requests for a travel pass, and this will also help in making those decisions. Free travel for under 18s on public transport is a matter of social justice, helping families with the cost of living and access to opportunities. We want to see officers work quickly with Simca to agree details of the scheme and to provide free travel for children and young people in Sheffield. And I call all councillors here today to back this positive action. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you so much. There are two proposed amendments, and these are number 1 and 2 on page 2 and 3 of the list of the amendments circulated in the meeting. May I call Councillor Ian Horner to move the amendment number 1. You can speak up to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First of all, I welcome the general thrust of this motion. My colleague Mike Levery will be talking a bit more about the buses. You'd be surprised to know that I'm going to talk a lot about Northern Powerhouse Rail, but you put it in the motion, so there we are. I want to start by saying I'm disappointed with what Councillor Hunt said earlier about party political point scoring, particularly because in the last week, with cross-party support, I have persuaded Simca, with the support of councillors across the South East, to repair the concrete tram track in the South East. That's an excellent example of cross-party working on an issue that matters to everybody. The reason I want to talk about Northern Powerhouse Rail is quite coincidentally, yesterday my rail magazine arrived. So I don't want to make party political points. I want to tell you what experts are saying about Northern Powerhouse Rail. The article was headlined, "Raises more questions than it answers," because you're cheering on something that sounds fine, but it's not going to happen for 10 years. For those people stuck on rattly old trains that are in desperate need of repair, they're not going to be replaced for 10 years. We're not going to see the electrification into Sheffield probably for 10 years. The head of Siemens transportation section for the UK and Ireland said that current electrification schemes are now costing 30% more because of the boom and bust policy that currently applies. So these are not small amounts of money. The only new money at the minute that's up front is £1 billion to spend on consultants and on business plans. What could we do for transport for £1 billion? That's not my view, just my view. That's what Christian Wormar said in the same Rail magazine, a well-known expert on railways, a former Labour parliamentary by-election candidate. So I'm not making party political points here. I'm telling you what experts in the field are telling you. This programme may be very good, but it ain't going to happen for 10 years. You're saying there's money. We're not going to see it for 10 years. So it's a vague promise, that's all.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Mike Livery to second the amendment, please? Yeah, Mick.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I want to talk about a couple of elements of our amendment. The first is to highlight our ongoing commitment to free bus travel passes for the Sheffield Young Carers Group. We presume you recognise our continuing request for this in our budget amendment for the last 4 years, which is always voted down. A shame it takes another council's free passes for under 18 to make it happen. And secondly, school buses. 5 years ago, school buses were removed from routes with existing bus services. This simply has not worked. And for a number of reasons, but particularly in the morning rush hour. Commuters unable to accept buses that are full of school pupils. Timetable delays due to extra stops, times at stops due to the increase in children on the buses. Continuing increase in accidents local to schools due to the high number of pupils leaving buses. Next to my ward, Ecclesfield Secondary School is the largest secondary school in Sheffield. It has a dedicated bus parking area to ensure that the pupils can leave the buses safely and go to school. It's no longer used because we are now using service buses. So hundreds of children are coming off service buses and crossing a main road at school opening times. Safe egress of buses for children is vital, particularly where buses are arriving continuously carrying so many pupils. We have to move to double-decker buses now in rush hour, which are also full to capacity and virtually empty after leaving the school, and that makes no economic sense. We need to separate out school buses again and make this clear to the South Yorkshire Mayoral Authority that this is a must, not an option. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Elliott to move amendment number 2? You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I should probably declare a slight interest in this as well, just because I have 2 young people under the age of 18, one approaching the age of sixth form, as mentioned by Councillor McGowan, who will be travelling on the bus, so I stand to save quite a lot of money if this policy is passed. Greens think the age for free bus fares should be up to 22, as stated in the Green motion proposed by my colleagues, which I really hope we get to hear today. But I'm speaking for the Green amendment, which is a friendly amendment to the Labour motion, just asking for a more ambitious target. 18 to 22 is a really important time for young people. Decent and free public transport provides the opportunity for them to be independent, and parents like me will really value the benefits of that. It is so hard for people of this age to earn a decent wage. Many are continuing their education, and also just meeting up with friends and having a social life is really vital for well-being. So that's why buses are especially important for our young people, who are frankly the ones bearing the brunt of the cost of living crisis, with excessively high rents, bills, insecure employment, student debts. In Scotland, where it's been successful, one of the key benefits cited is that it has significantly helped young people to travel and do more independently. And it's also increased the number of bus journeys, so that helps to reverse the decline of bus use. Greens don't believe in the managed decline of bus use. We believe that properly funded public transport leads to greater use. We just need to look at other cities like London to see this as a reality, or even Manchester. We hear about their progressive policies all the time, and now Barnsley. Why not have one of our own in Sheffield? Let's lead the way, provide free bus travel for people up to the age of 22. I'm really glad that Labour have chosen this direction to go in today, just a few weeks after it was announced by the Green Party leaders at Polanski here in Sheffield.
Thank you very much.
Hope Lib Dems are on board too.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Maleiki Haybe to second the amendment, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. You know, this debate didn't appear out of thin air. It arrived because young people organised, because campaigners pushed, because the leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski, came to Sheffield, spent half a day here, listened properly and said something very simple. Public transport is not a luxury, it is a public good. And I really appreciate that it's being echoed here today and getting the motion ahead of us. The Labour motion stops at 18. We say go further up to 22. Because the stop at 18 doesn't really make much sense in the real world. You don't stop needing support the day you leave school, or stop needing a hand the moment you turn 19, and you definitely don't suddenly have disposable income at 21. Barnsley's pilot is a good start, and I welcome it, but pilots are meant to grow and not become a ceiling. I don't need to echo what Marianne said, or the other good points across the room, but if you truly believe this is about social justice and opportunity, let's be bold. No half measures or arbitrary cut-offs under 22s. I formally second our amendment.
Thank you. We move to debate, and can I call my first speaker, Councillor Dale?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm speaking in support of this motion today and would like to thank Councillor Ridler and Councillor McGowan for bringing it today. Free bus travel for our youngest citizens, aged 18 and under, is a practical and forward-looking investment in Sheffield's future. For many families, transport costs limit access to education, training, work and community activities. Free bus travel would remove that barrier and help ensure that every young person, regardless of background, can participate fully in city life. Free bus travel is about belonging and inclusion. It tells our youngest residents that Sheffield is their city, that they are welcome in its neighbourhoods, its cultural spaces, its parks and its opportunities. When young people can move freely around their city, they build friendships, confidence and a sense of ownership. The feeling of being limited to where they live will be removed and they will start to feel connected to a shared civic life. That sense of belonging is not abstract, it shapes aspiration, participation and pride in place, and it lasts well into adulthood. Sheffield is an outdoor city and some of our youngest people are unable to access our parks, green spaces and countryside because of travel costs. This pilot will open opportunities supporting physical health, mental well-being and lifelong connections with nature, building essential life skills and promoting independence. At the same time, it offers a positive response to growing concerns about excessive screen time, making it easier to get out and about, encouraging real-world experience opposed to virtual ones, with clear benefits for confidence, well-being and social connection. Promoting public transport from a young age supports our environmental goals by reducing congestion and emissions. This pilot for free bus travel...
Councillor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mesereau. You're up.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
No, not Councillor Booker. Councillor
sorry.
Mesereau was on my list. From...
Sheffield's current transport system is inherently unfair, and it's especially unfair for young people. A third of Sheffield households have no access to a vehicle, and nearly half of young people experience financial precarity. Even with discounted fares, the cost of public transport are prohibitive to many young people. This means that only some will be able to access or to have a choice about jobs, training and education. Only some will be able to travel to see friends and relatives. Only some will get to take part in leisure activities. Lack of transport can lead to young people feeling isolated, which is so damaging to well-being. Inadequate mobility not only reduces their ability to access work and education whilst young, but can also damage their long-term economic, social and health prospects. We urgently need to invest in our young people and level the playing field. Providing free bus travel for all under 22s helps to reduce these inequalities, helps to reduce current and future car dependency and helps to reduce social isolation. But free bus travel for under 22s doesn't just benefit young people, it benefits everyone. It makes it cheaper and easier for families to travel together. It makes it easier for friends to travel together. It makes people feel safer because when there are more people on buses and at bus stops, people feel safer. And in places where bus travel is free, young women and girls have said they felt safer going out at night because they were able to travel by bus with their friends. Fewer car journeys mean cleaner air, less noise, fewer collisions and less congestions. Providing free bus travel for under 22s would have a really positive and powerful impact and would have so many wider benefits for Sheffield. Let's make it happen.
Thank you very much. Councillor Booker.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Looking after young people should be paramount. It is the basic instinct of any decent human being to protect children. Unfortunately, in this country today, this doesn't always happen. Paragraph H mentions helping families with the cost of living. It should read the cost of lockdown, a disastrous decision taken by the Tory government, then a double whammy by the Labour Party, with the jobs tax and net zero taxes, pushing hard-working British people into poverty. As in paragraph L, all the Labour Party shout about is Reform UK and Nigel Farage. Well, it looks like Labour have a new nemesis to shout about. Peter Mandelson, a classic Bond villain, allegedly giving state secrets to an American convicted child abuser. I think the Prime Minister will have to forget about Reform UK for a while. Then a new bogeyman has appeared. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
I'm making points about the motion, paragraphs. I mentioned
Let's
two
move
paragraphs.
on. We need to watch our language, but let's move on. Councillor Ula, let's settle down, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor, Netherwich and Sharrow has some of the busiest bus routes in the city, with London Road and Abbey Road running through it. But for too many young people and families in my ward, the cost of a bus ticket is another worry in a long list of worries as they battle through the cost of living crisis. That is why what has happened in Barnsley is so important. In Barnsley, free bus travel led to a 54% increase in journeys by children and young people. Most of these journeys, Lord Mayor, started in more deprived areas. Over 500,000 trips were made in just a few months. This shows that this scheme works. Free bus travel is not just about transport, it is about social justice. It helps families with cost of living. It helps young people get to school, college, work, or just to see their mates. It helps them feel part of their city. A bus fare should never be the reason for a young person to miss an opportunity. As a member of the Economic Development, Skills and Culture Committee, I also want to highlight the economic case. Buses help people get to work and spend money in the local economy. Research shows that for every £1 invested in buses, more than £4 is returned in benefits. That is an excellent return, Lord Mayor. So this trial is good for young people, good for families, and good for Sheffield's economy. That's why I strongly support this motion, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Richard Shaw.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I mean, if any party knows about taking money from dodgy individuals overseas, it's Reform UK. Less said about their disgraced former leader, Nathan Gill, the better, and least said about them even more. I welcome this motion and our amendment, Lord Mayor. Over the past 20 years, bus mileage in the UK has decreased by 20%, and the Labour government's increase in the bus fare cap last year has added almost another £450 to the cost of people travelling to work using the bus 5 days a week. Last year, I had the pleasure of visiting the Meadowhead Academy in sixth form to talk with their student cabinet and ask their questions and hear their concerns. And the cost of transport was one of the issues that they raised, as well as the issues of cross-city connectivity by bus and tram. In fact, they said they would welcome the extension of the tram network from Herdings to Meadowhead to make it easier for them to get to school. So hopefully Simca are listening to their pleas. Getting more young people onto the bus is beneficial for them and society as a whole. It reduces congestion for everyone, especially on the school run. It gets them into the habit of using public transport more often, so they're more likely to carry on using public transport as adults, and further reducing congestion for everyone. It improves road safety.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw.
Fewer cars on the school run
Thank
means less likely collisions with young people. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to squeeze one more in, and I've got about 4 speakers. So Councillor Kubo was on my list after I was given. That's okay. Councillor Kubo.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As you might have noticed, we have a similar but more ambitious motion that we've proposed, which we will hopefully be discussing later on. So our amendment is actually a supportive amendment. I mean, I can't disagree with anything that's been said about the benefits of increasing free bus passes for young people, but we would like it to be for people under 22, because as has been said, at 18 you don't suddenly have a lot of money and a greater income. You still have to get to school, college, or maybe doing an apprenticeship, so your income might still be restricted. And whatever your age, you need to have the ability to go out and socialise and reduce social exclusion. So I think a free bus pass for young people under 22 is a real benefit for everybody, not just those on low income. As has been said, it can reduce congestion. I am a parent, but mine are grown up now, so it's hard to remember, but I do remember I did have a car. I was a parent taxi, take me here, take me there. You know, it's really hard, even for parents that have cars. So if we can encourage our young people to get in the habit of using the bus, and they can do so easily without worrying about being able to afford it, this will create habits for the future, and they will be healthier. There'll be more mobility, future benefits for their health and their independence. So, yeah, I support free bus passes for everybody under the age of 22. It's a good thing for Sheffield. Let's be ambitious and let's do this.
Thank you very much. May I offer the right to reply to the mover of the motion, Councillor Janet Ridler. You may speak up to 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for your contributions to this debate. It's clear from across the Chamber that there is a shared ambition amongst, say, the majority of us anyway, to make public transport more accessible and to support young people and to reduce the cost of travel for families in Sheffield. However, I do find it staggering that a Reform Councillor supposed to represent Stocksbridge and Upper Don stands up and says nothing about buses in his tirade, which is such a critical issue in the ward, although that maybe it's not such a surprise when you think that only back in December he was the only councillor here to vote against developing plans for the tram expansion to Stocksbridge, which is the ward again that he's supposed to represent, so not particularly speaking for the ward there, as you might expect. This motion focuses on what we can deliver quickly. It's building on real experience that's happened in Barnsley and the commitments that's been made by the Mayor. We've seen the million journeys in less than 6 months, the majority of which are in the less affluent areas. It tells us this important thing that young people will use the buses if we can remove the cost barrier for them. So the motion is about taking something that's proven, that works, that we've seen in operation in Barnsley, extending it to Sheffield as soon as possible. It aligns with this wider vision that we've got, the direction of travel, which is for better buses and integrated public transport for everybody under the franchise model, and all because, you know, delivery because of the strength of Labour's leadership locally. So let's get on and do this. Let's get on quickly, do it for the people that need it most. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I am now going to move to the vote of amendment number 1. Moved by Councillor Horner, for which will be conducted using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support of amendment. Is the amendment carried? Dissent? Is there a part?
Dissent, Lord Mayor. Against. Or amendment 1, we're abstaining on L.
Thank you. Matt?
We're just voting against, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Let's start. Everybody try to vote, please.
75 or
1 more. is that one more? Gary's left now. Okay, Gary's left, so we're expecting 75, and we've got 75. The amendment is carried except for paragraph L. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to move to amendment number 2. I am now going to move to the vote on amendment number 2, moved by Councillor Elliott, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system, unless we have unanimous support for the amendment. Is the amendment agreed?
Dissent, Lord Mayor, we're abstaining.
Anybody else? Okay. A vote shall be conducted using the electronic voting system. If we can start. Thank you. Amendment is carried. 58 abstain and 17 for. The next one is substantive motion. I am now going to move to the vote on substantive motion, which will be carried using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support for the motion. Is the motion agreed? Thank you.
Lord Mayor, in voting for, we are against B and abstaining on the M as amended.
In voting for, we're voting against the parts of motion 1 that passed.
Councillor Booker.
I'm supporting the motion, Lord Mayor, and voting against L.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're going to start the vote. So we had 75 last time, and then now we have 76. Somebody's is here but not here. So yeah, the motion is carried. 75 for. Thank you. Item number 10, notice of motion regarding health in the city centre. There is a maximum limited, 25 minutes? Yeah, 25 minutes for this item. The motion was published with the agenda and it's set out in the list of amendments documents circulated in the meeting. May I call Councillor Sapwell to move the motion? You may speak up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. This chamber works at its best when members bring their lived experience and their good ideas from that into policy. And this motion is a great example of that. As Lib Dems in Sheffield, we're lucky to count Michael Brown amongst our ranks, who in his day job as an architect works on NHS projects such as those in Barnsley and Wakefield, which have brought secondary healthcare to the high streets. And I hope that my jobbing experience as a glorified plumber can add some colour to the debate. For those who haven't already done so, please watch the BBC Panorama documentary from March 2025, which highlights health innovations in South Yorkshire that are transforming how we do things in the NHS, including those projects Mike has worked on. These aren't just great ideas. The data behind them shows that they work, reducing wait lists and improving health outcomes. Fellow Sheffield councillors, don't say it too loudly. We don't want our neighbours' heads to get too big, especially after that bus debate. But our friends in Barnsley and Wakefield have got the jump on us. Wakefield's Community Diagnostic Centre opened whilst I was working at Pinders Hospital. With it came a marked reduction in the wait time for heart scans that I was requesting for my patients. And as our motion evidences, the Barnsley project has clearly made it easier for patients to access their scans, which is not only good for them, but is improving the efficiency of NHS services too. Put simply, I want this in Sheffield. From my personal experience, whilst our outpatient cardiac MRI waiting time is acceptable, it takes too long to get such a scan for my inpatients. A scheme like this would free up our hospital MRI scanners to help treat our sickest patients and shorten bed stays, thus compounding savings for the NHS. I cannot impress upon this chamber enough just how much sense this makes in terms of health economics alone. And such a service could also help neighbouring councils. I'm told that Chesterfield has about a 1-year waiting time for an outpatient echocardiogram. With this project, we could help them get a scan earlier, whilst also helping our local NHS increase its income. And my colleague, Councillor Masters, will later lay out how this could be a boon for Fargate too. So let's grasp this opportunity. Let's work together to improve access to secondary healthcare, take some of the strain off of our hospitals, and boost our city centre. Thank you, and I move.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Masters to second the motion? You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Residents constantly ask why should they bother going to the city centre when there's nothing there for them. It's been hard to answer with the years of constructions, endless reports of antisocial behaviour and the loss of retail outlets which attracted them in. There's a limit to how much people can spend on eating out and put up with the inconvenience of getting there. We know the traditional high street has gone. Some once thriving retail venues are empty, while hospitality outlets have mushroomed since COVID, encouraged by fit-out grants and rate holidays. Instead of wringing its hands in despair and playing the victim of the changing times, Barnsley has tackled this head-on, and full credit to it for doing so. My colleague has expanded on the health benefits, but relocating health services into our city centre can revitalise it. More people coming in to access care services in the centre increases footfall, and there is more to keep them there when they finish their appointments than in a hospital setting. People around throughout the day, every day, means more custom for hospitality venues. That secures jobs, especially starter jobs for those wanting to enter the job market, as businesses feel more financially secure. More employment allows people to be more self-reliant and means more money circulating in our local economy. Our public transport network will benefit from improved usage, as people can often get right into the city centre without the use of private cars. And we have enough empty buildings which could accommodate a health on the high street centre and the complementary services which provide integrated wraparound care, the Coles Building, Debenhams, the Co-op on Angel Street, Event Central, Bethel Chapel, the old Salvation Army Citadel. Businesses seeking to relocate or a new location want to see a busy city centre with very few empty shop fronts, good footfall throughout the day and people spending money. It's another plus to add to the many attractions of opening up here. Barnsley shows what's possible. The figures speak for themselves. I urge members to support the motion. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. There are 2 proposed amendments, and these are numbers 3 and 4 on pages 5 and 6 on the list of amendments circulated at the meeting. May I call Councillor Laura McLean to move the amendment number 3. You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. In moving our amendment today, we also recognise the work undertaken by Barnsley Council through its Health on the High Street initiatives, making health services more accessible whilst at the same time easing pressure on hospitals. It is important to highlight that this principle is not new ground for Sheffield. Significant work is already underway across our city to deliver accessible community-based health services. Here in Sheffield, the Council is working in partnership with the South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board to to develop a new high street health centre on Church Street, expanding access to NHS services right in the heart of our city centre. The £37 million worth of capital funding has also delivered the state-of-the-art Spittal Hill Health Centre in Burngreve, alongside new GP centres in and around the city centre that will open in the future. Nationally, record government investment means that waiting lists fell by 86,000 in November 2025 alone. That represents 86,000 people who are no longer stuck in limbo and who have been able to access the care and treatment they need. Both the motion and our amendment are underpinned by a shared belief that healthcare must be accessible to everyone. The people of Sheffield need an NHS that they can rely on from cradle to grave. And let us be clear, at a time when Farage's Tory turncoats would, without hesitation, replace our NHS with a US-style insurance system, the NHS under a Labour government will always remain free at point of use. Finally, it is vital that this council continues to work together with the Integrated Care Board and our NHS Trust to ensure that Sheffield has health services that are accessible and serve the needs of all our residents. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Laura. May I call Councillor Mary Lee to second the amendment?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the health policies that the Labour government are introducing and the £26 billion funding into the health service to ensure treatment and care can be carried out closer to home and in hospitals and other settings. 26 billion of extra funding into the health service to not only repair the years of neglect by the last government, but to develop modern services which match the advanced research that has been made in medicine, diagnostic methods and treatment and new ways of working. We should also acknowledge that people need services delivered in the best possible way for them and their communities. So I think the work the Health Service and Labour Council in Barnsley have carried out is an excellent model for us to look at and see how we can develop this in Sheffield. It will serve not only their communities, particularly but their outlying villages well into the coming years. Of course, in Sheffield we have two brilliant hospitals providing services for adults and of course the Children's Hospital, all which treat people from across the region and beyond. However, it can only benefit service users to have their diagnostics and treatment delivered flexibly to suit the populations of each area. People want to be seen in a timely way and ultimately by the experts in our health service, so developments which promote this are welcome. Locally, we have seen significant investment coming into Sheffield, which will see new developments in Burngreve and new city GP centres in the centre of the city, and environmental improvements across the NHS buildings across the city. Barnsley is to be congratulated with what they have done and the improvements they are making in early diagnosis, attendance rates and reduced waiting times and other benefits. But let us be very clear of what will undermine all these advances to the delivery of care and the treatment of people in our communities across the country. This threat will come the number of Tories now joining Reform who failed miserably to protect our health service when they were in office.
Thank you,
The Reform policy...
It's red.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Angela Urgenzio to move amendment number 4. You may speak up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And thank you for colleagues for bringing the motion and the amendment, which we will support. However, what I want to stress is that having a centre in any community in the city centre is only part of the solution. And whilst the diagnostics is really important, in what happens before and after that is paramount to creating health. And much more important than diagnostic is prevention. And prevention needs to happen upstream. It needs to happen in our communities. And at a time where the NHS is under a lot of stress, the ICBs all over the country are being reorganised, and here in South Yorkshire, we are losing 400 jobs in the NHS, in the ICB. We're losing the place dimension of the NHS. It's really important that we understand that our colleagues and partners in the NHS are already under a lot of pressure, and whilst we will have those conversations and we will support anything that helps the health of people in Sheffield and in South Yorkshire, we also need to be sensitive about the conversations that we are going to have. The initiative in Barnsley is fantastic, but it's also very important to remember that having those higher number doesn't necessarily mean that there is more health. There is more health care, but there isn't necessarily more health. So the data also needs to be looked at. So yes, we will support both the amendment and the main motion, but with a caution that having a centre doesn't automatically mean that the health of people in Sheffield will improve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Toby Madison to second the amendment, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. No one can object to improved health testing. However, it should form part of a comprehensive plan. Personally, although willing to support the motion, I'm concerned at the principle of pushing an idea without due consultation with professionals working in Sheffield. Where will the funding come from? Could it have unintended consequences due to funding restrictions elsewhere? It's not a great way to set local health policy, as proposals such as this could lead to arbitrary decisions at the expense of other essential services that have less political backing. Please support our amendment, which provides some realism to the motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I call my first speaker, Councillor Raouf?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Fine words, butter, no parsnips. And this amendment reminds us of a hard truth. Our NHS structures are being reshaped at considerable pace, with shrinking teams and capacity under enormous strain. Pretending these pressures don't exist helps no one, least of all the great people of Netheredge and Sharrow, who rely on me to be honest about what is realistic. And whilst bringing more services into the city centre sounds transformative, we must confront reality. Diagnostics alone are not a cure. What happens afterwards is also important. The follow-up care. The follow-up care, the treatment, the ongoing support. This is where outcomes are won or lost for my people. Without strengthening these pathways, parties risk encouragement of building boondoggles that lead to nowhere. As a city, we must first choose to see clearly when the rain has gone, and only then can we walk towards the light of opportunity. I fully endorse this Green amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Eldod to speak, please? Okay. Councillor Rice?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I felt like there was not enough speech about buses this afternoon, so I thought I'd add a little bit more. We all know that easy access to healthcare improves outcomes. Just being able to get to appointments is incredibly valuable in terms of making sure that people get their ailments seen to quickly. Every single community in this city is somehow by bus or by tram connected to the city centre, but this is not the case for our hospitals. Most notably down in the southeast, both Bayton and Mosborough have limited access to the Northern General and Hallamshire, and many of our communities up in the north are particularly deprived of these valuable routes to healthcare. That is our communities in Stannington and in Grenoside, and also in Stocksbridge, that does not have, that for many people they would need to take 2 buses to access their healthcare at either of our major outpatients units. Though that would be easier if it was in the city centre, and even easier if the good people of Stocksbridge had a tram, which is why it's surprising that their new councillor decided to vote against one. And this is what a Lib Dem run council after May would do for residents. It would be using our experience as doctors and architects, listening to experts in the fields, thinking about what makes our communities better, and then working hard for each resident, no matter their ability, their disability, where they live in the city, and we are working to make sure that they have the best health outcomes and the best opportunities in life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Roslin?
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. I think it's a good motion. I think particularly the idea of health in communities, and not just on high street locations. There are plenty of organisations across the city, particularly in the north of the city, SOAR community that I'm proud to be a trustee of, that works fantastically in GP surgeries, in community spaces, working with people who otherwise would not be going to the doctors, I suspect. The new Concord Leisure Centre, which is going to appear over the next 2 or 3 years in Shiregreen and Brightside, is based around an NHS community space, particularly working with musculoskeletal work. Again, bringing people, particularly sometimes those of us who are men, who don't like going to the doctors, are more likely to go into these community spaces. And the problem, Lord Mayor, is with the NHS is not that we need less of it, but that we need more of it. And to access it, particularly for those communities who struggle to go into GP surgeries, healthcare needs to be free at the point of use, and it must be believed to be free at the point of use. Because there is one political party, Reform, that their leader says that it will be free at the point of use, but to be honest, I can say that I play for England. It doesn't mean I'm going to play for England, and residents are worried, rightly so, about where the NHS would go under a Reform government or a Reform council. Last year, the leader of Reform said, let's examine the whole funding model and find a way that's more efficient. Well, efficient to me sounds like getting rid of the people who really, really need that health care. Their economic policy, Lord Mayor, would cut public spending, prioritising tax cuts for the mega rich. So how will they fund the NHS? And more sinisterly, who will work in the NHS when they've deported hundreds of thousands of people who've been in the UK for years, people who make the NHS work, doctors, nurses, technicians, porters, cleaners, receptionists, care workers, the people we were proud to clap during COVID, and we should be proud to support now.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Johnson to speak?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just to inject a dose of realism, Councillor Manderson's already pointed out you have to be a bit realistic here. If anyone hasn't noticed, the council doesn't actually run health services in the city. So before we pat ourselves on the back too much for all the things that we're all going to do when we're all in power, it doesn't happen. Health services doesn't do this. But also, there is a real question here about this approach to secondary care, and there is a concern that shiny new scanners go well on election leaflets, but actually what we really need is things that make it less need for people to have scanners, making it a healthier society in the first place. Actually, what people could really do with is better access to their own GPs in the first place, instead of bypassing them to go straight for a scan for something, looking for some magical cure. In other words, we need primary care before we need secondary care. But even before that, we need a healthier society. We need to focus more on people's actual health rather than looking for quick ways to treat people once they've lost that health. And that is the essence of the Health and Wellbeing Boards, which it's proposed that this item will be referred to. But so I do think we need to refer to that. So just wrapping up on that point, again, Councillor Manderson asked the question, where would all this cost come from? Where would the millions come to establish a complete new centre? Councillor Rees quite rightly pointed out the cost of buses that young people have to pay to get into the city centre. And wouldn't it actually improve a lot of people's health to have ready access to good public transport? And that might be something that would be a more effective use of the millions instead of a shiny new scanner.
Thank you very much. Councillor Livy? Councillor Livy? You're next. Is it? Oh, yeah, Maroof, sorry. Councillor Maroof, yeah, sorry.
Thank you for that, Lord Mayor. In supporting Councillor Dr. Will Sapwell's motion, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm not going to talk about health issues because we've got such an eminent person in the room that can talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is the commercial property market. And the commercial property market is going through a major structural change. The retail sector, as we all know, is on its knees for a number of reasons. That's business rates, rents, and the internet. But the one area of the property market that is actually seeing an increase is the health and well-being centres. And what I'm seeing across the country are users who are coming into the high street, bringing those users into the high street, which is now supporting an increased footfall. And that is the area that we need to work upon. As I said, I'm not going to talk about the health benefits of it, but the benefits to the street scene and the benefits to the footfall in the city centre is going to be absolutely brilliant, bringing these things forward. And everybody keeps talking about Barnsley, but the initiative in Barnsley was started on the back of property as well. So I think every centre that is starting to struggle, and I can speak from experience, I was talking this morning about this very subject, where we're seeing a centre that we're developing, having health and well-being users coming to that area. And we didn't set out to actually do that. What we set out to do was to bring normal retailers into the marketplace. So I absolutely support this motion, and I think it's a wonderful motion, and thank you for Dr. Sapwell for bringing it. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. May I call Councillor Mark Jones, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Burngreave is benefiting from a wholesale, holistic approach to health in Burngreave. Not an approach as to how people should look after themselves and where to access that care, but one that works with being Burngreavers in Burngreave where they live. The work being done is building on the pillars of health, focusing on physical well-being, mental well-being and social well-being, as well as the pillars of care, with a greater sharing of information on health choices, working with people to enable greater self-care, and all in hand with shared decision-making about the care patients receive. We should all welcome that, and maybe other parts of the city should look to Burngreave to learn the lessons. So Burngreavers can access the better care they want and deserve. Burngreave is benefiting directly from the £37 million National Capital Investment Programme delivered through the NHS South Yorkshire Integrated Care Board. This investment is transforming outdated GP premises into modern, accessible, community-focused health hubs. Despite what some people have said, this hasn't been an easy journey, but it is a welcome one. Burngreave is seeing the biggest focus and investment in health for a generation. Not just the new GP hubs, but also cleaner air initiatives, active travel infrastructure, and stronger community-based services. These changes are Labour-led, community-focused, and designed to tackle long-standing health inequalities head-on. We are seeing the foundations for an even better future. I welcome this and the many benefits to come. Support our motion for healthier communities. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can I squeeze Councillor Smith, Gail Smith in, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I very much welcome this motion. I wasn't going to speak, but the last time we discussed this was in 1999, when the Labour government, Tony Blair, decided to close the NHS Accident and Emergency Department at the Hallamshire Hospital. We fought really hard as a council to keep that A&E department. We were promised by the Labour government and this Labour council that we would have a hub in the north and one in the southeast. The idea then was to bring out some of the services from the NHS into the community, and we're still talking about it, and it's not happening. But it needs to happen. When my husband was ill for 18 months, for 6 months I had to go to the Hallamshire every single day, 7 days a week, for him to have treatment. That could have easily been done in my community. I could never, ever be there with him, because I spent the hour that he had the treatment driving round trying to find a parking space. It was an absolute nightmare. So we need to support this motion, but we need to take it further, because health needs to come out of the hospitals. There are many, many things that could be done in the community to save people driving cars and catching buses.
Thank you very much. Just for transparency, I don't have much time, but Mick really wants to speak. Is anyone against that, or can I let him speak? Let him speak. He's a young man. Got to give him some. Is that okay with everyone? I just.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Thanks, Mick. Make it quick, though.
Couple of initial comments. Councillor Maroof said, I'm not going to talk about health, I'm going to talk about buildings instead. The notice of motion and the amendments are about health. But having said that, Councillor Horner did actually set the precedent by talking solely about trains and railways on a notice of motion about buses. So he had a very good start on it, didn't he? But it may be that Councillor Sapwell is a very, very good doctor. But shiny new buildings aren't the solution to everything. I would suggest that maybe starting with a decent home to live in and decent food on your plate might be a better start. In other words, prevention, so we don't have to go to these nice shiny buildings and visit Dr. Sapwell. Because
I don't understand.
Not that I don't like him, but I'd rather not have to visit you, because I'm living in a nice home that isn't full of mould, and I'm not having to go to a food bank to get my food. So those will be better things to concentrate on. And Councillor Booker, I notice you're rather quiet about the future of the NHS. You seem to be getting a lot of your ideas from Donald Trump, don't you? He's one of your best mates, your party. No. But you don't have to, because Nigel keeps spending a lot of time over there. You don't.
Thank you, Mick. Thank you.
You can see on the cities of New York, on the cities of America, the result of having your health service based on an insurance system. He said it. It's on film. It's on film. Don't try and deny that he didn't say it.
Councillor Booker, we don't reply. Thank you. Thank you, Mick. It's gone red. We've done you. Well done. Good. May I offer the right to reply to can we have a conversation? Can I speak? Thank you. May I offer the right to reply, the mover of the motion, Councillor Sapwell? You've got 2 minutes to speak. Thank you.
I see that my pleas not to give our friends in Barnsley too many compliments were roundly ignored. I'd like to take this opportunity to just clarify some misunderstanding that may have inspired some of the amendments. Projects like Church Street are excellent and in keeping with the motion I previously proposed and we passed, but this project is not about primary care. Instead, this project is about bringing secondary care into a space more convenient for patients whilst alleviating pressures on our hospitals. To the Green councillors, I'd just like to point out that I was joking about being a plumber. I'm a cardiologist over at the Northern General Hospital. As such, I'm very aware of the importance of prevention, and that's why it's a particular research interest of mine. This project enables us as a council to take a tangible step towards improving Sheffield's health. Actions, not just words. Yes, diagnostics are not the whole picture, but let me tell you, as someone relatively well versed in this, it's really hard to optimise someone's secondary prevention if they've never had an echocardiogram. Again, from my worked experience, I can't not come back on Councillor Booker's earliest comments. I watched too many people die from COVID, but lockdown limited that number. Let me be clear. Without lockdown, scores more Sheffield residents would have died. And if I may take off my political hat now and speak simply as an NHS employee, could I just caution against some of the celebratory tone in some of the amendments and speeches supporting them? These reductions in waiting lists have only come about through the hard work of NHS staff. This is despite an even tougher pressure to cut costs than under previous government, which has led to recruitment freezes, healthcare worker unemployment, and the offer of voluntary redundancies to clinical staff in Sheffield teaching hospitals. We're achieving great things, and the reduction in waiting list is to be welcomed, but it often feels like this is in spite of the current government rather than thanks to it. Still, in the spirit of collaboration, it's important to learn from successes elsewhere, And so it's easy to commend this motion to you all. Please give this motion your backing, and I look forward to seeing work towards more health on the high street. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you take off your mic, please, Councillor Sapwell? Thank you. I am now going to move for the vote of amendment number 3, moved by Councillor McLean, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system. Unless we have unanimous vote. Okay.
So, Lord Mayor, in voting for, we're against A, B and C.
Councillor Diamond?
In voting for, we're against C.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. In voting for, we're against D. Yes. Better get it right.
Okay. Let the voting commence. We're looking for 74 votes. Everybody make sure that they vote, please. We're just waiting for one more vote because their console battery went flat, so he's just signing himself in now. Can I get everyone's attention? Because the numbers are very close, we're thinking of... No, I know that. In terms of paragraph C, is that correct? Yeah, about the paragraph C, yeah?
So we've got the Libertarians voting against C, we've got Green voting against.
So I got suggested to, for clarity, so you know what you're voting on, to run it again. Run a separate vote for C, paragraph C, for clarity. Is that okay? Because the numbers are very close.
Councillor, he's going to lose his vote on there. So
Councillor Adol is left, so he's going to lose his vote. So
we're going to run this separate vote.
can everybody just vote on this? Councillor Adol is left, so he's lost a vote. Paragraph C on amendment number 3, please. Thank you. It started. Go ahead, Terry. It's basically for, against, or abstained. Yes or a no, or abstained. The issue is being, you guys have voted in parts, apparently, and that's what sparked up the issue. Mick, you wanted to say something? Can everybody settle down, please, so we can move on to the next amendment? I take it you voted already. Mick, just vote. Or abstain. That's why, because you see how tight it is. This is what we just want to do, clarity. Councillor Diamond, go ahead.
Can I make a point of order?
Okay, let's settle in. Dr. Sapwell, can we settle you down for a minute? Go ahead. Councillor Diamond, you go ahead. Speak.
I just want to make a point of order that the NHS is not free at the point of use if you need a prescription, or if you need your teeth, or if you need your eye glasses. So I don't see how Labour can say that.
Drum rolls. We ready? As the chair of this meeting, it's carried. Casting vote. I get the casting vote, so the motion is carried. Sorry, all of it. We missed. We've lost 3 votes from before and now, so 3 people just left. So
paragraph C is now carried.
Paragraph C is now carried. And the rest of it is being carried earlier. Is that clear, everyone? Oh. Amendment number 4. I am now going to move to the vote of amendment number 4, moved by Councillor Arjanzio, which will be conducted using the electronic votes. Unless we have unanimous support for this amendment, is the amendment agreed?
Dissent, Lord Mayor.
Dissent?
Dissent, Lord Mayor. And voting against, we're 4-1.
And we're just voting against.
Okay, brilliant. Let's start. So 72 votes, that's the total. Thank you. Amendment number 4 is lost. 14 in go. 57 lost and 1 abstain, please.
Lord Mayor, I suspect clause 1 might be close.
Do you want my casting vote again? No. If you want to play safe, we can do another one if you want. No? Happy? We can. Let's hear it. I'm now, so this is the substantive motion. I'm now going to move to vote on the substantive motion, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support for the motion. Is the motion agreed?
Dissent, Lord Mayor. In voting for, we'll be voting against A, B and C from the Labour amendment again.
Lord Mayor, can we get clarity on what part of Amendment 4 passed or failed?
You say it was all lost.
Oh, lost. Okay. Thank you. Then we are voting for but abstaining on the E from the original motion.
Councillor Diamond?
Again, in voting for, we're against Part C of the Labour amendment.
Okay. Noted. Okay, let's have a start. 72 votes again. Thank you. The motion is carried, 72 agreed. However, we've got some voted against paragraph C. So again, can we have a separate vote for that? Substantive motion is carried, but the advice is that we have to do another vote for paragraph C. That's the advice I got. So, is that okay? Because it's voting in parts, so it makes it a little bit complicated.
If everyone's voted in the way
Okay, let's settle in. We're going to vote again on the paragraph C, just to make it clarity, so nobody, otherwise this will bite us back.
Well, then we might find it's tied.
It's very tight. Okay. Right, go ahead. IT hero. We're waiting for 72 votes.
Got an issue.
Has everybody voted, please? Can you make sure there's one person has not voted? I don't know if they did.
Lord Mayor, is there not a time limit on this?
I said 36 is within the listen. Yeah. Anyone? No? Yeah, 72? See? I don't know why people just don't do it. It's a button. Boom. We have to drag the vote out of them. Oh, yeah.
Oh no, you're going to have to go.
Woo!
Councillor Habel, you maybe saved the day. Just came in just right on time to vote. So paragraph C is lost. Okay. 37 to 36 4. See? Clarity, clarity, clarity. Okay, let's move on item 11. I want to get you guys home. So, item 11. Oh. Yeah. We're past the guillotine. Surprise, surprise. Everything is going to be moving swiftly. Okay? No more speeches, yeah? So item 11, notice of motion regarding the free bus travel for under the 22 years old. 22 years old. There is a maximum limited, well, there isn't. The motion was published on the agenda and is also set out in the list of amendments documented circulated at the meeting. May I call Councillor Gilligan Kubo to move the motion?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Angela. Oh, you're still here. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Move the motion? Angela and Councillor Kubo?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you.
Maleiki has gone.
Maleiki has gone. Who's going to move? Angela, okay. And may I call Councillor Ajonzio to second the motion?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Fabulous. There are two proposed amendments, and these are number 5 and 6 on pages 8 and 9 on the list of amendments circulated in the meeting. May I call Councillor Fran Belbin to move amendment number 5?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Alison Norris to second the amendment?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Fabulous. May I call Councillor Hogan to move the amendment number 6?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Fabulous. May I call Councillor Rice to second the amendment?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. I am now going to move it on amendment number 5, moved by Councillor Fran Belbin, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system, unless we have unanimous support of amendment. Is the amendment agreed? Fabulous. Agreed? Okay, the amendment is carried unanimously. Yeah. So amendment number 6. moved by Councillor Hogan, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support of the amendment. Is the amendment agreed? Dissent, Councillor Diamond, go ahead.
Just against.
Anyone else?
Dissent,
Mark?
Lord Mayor. Also
Dissent?
just against.
Anyone else? No? So we'll move to the voting system. May I remind members that they're voting for amendment number 6. Councillor Tim Hogan, please. Thank you. Let's start. $73 votes. Two more people. People say they left and they never leave. I'm telling you. There's 2 here. Yeah, 2's left. Good. Wish people tell us. So the amendment number 6 is lost, 48 against and 23 for. Thank you. May I move us on to substantive motion? I am now going to for the vote of substantive motion, which conducted by electronic vote system, unless we have unanimous support for the motion. Is the motion carried? Dissent. Thank you. Councillor Booker?
Dissent, Lord Mayor.
In parts, Booker, or?
In voting for, I'm against M.
N. Okay. Matt?
In abstaining, we're voting for the amendment, our amendments that passed.
Thank you.
Lord Mayor, in voting for, we're against K and M.
K and M. Thank you. Okay, let the voting commence.
Yes.
71 votes. Let's go. Nearly there. Someone's registered, but they haven't voted. Oh, if I can find that person, I'll tie him to the chair next to me. It's going to carry anyway. It's going to carry anyway, but 35. 1 vote is missing in the room. And we are all going to Barcelona. It's carried. Motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 12, notice of motion regarding Welcome the Renters' Right Act. The motion was published on the agenda and it's also set out in the list of amendments documents circulated at the meeting. May I call Councillor Mineshbarak to move the motion?
Formally move, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Can I ask Councillor Nabila Maulana to second the motion?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. There are 2 proposed amendments, and these are number 7 and number 8, pages 11 to 12, the list of amendments circulated in the meeting. May I call Councillor Penny Baker to move amendment number 7?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Richard Williams to second the amendment?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Elliott to move amendment number 8?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Formally moved.
Thank you. May I call Councillor Johnson to second the amendment?
Formally seconded.
Thank you very much. We are now moving to the vote on the amendment number 7, moved by Councillor Penny Baker, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system, unless we have a unanimous vote. So, motion, agreed? Sent? Against? Matt? Just against, thank you. Okay, let the voting commence. Thank you. Amendment number 7 is lost. 45 against, 24 for, and 1 abstained. Thank you. Amendment number 8, I am now going to move to the vote of amendment number 8, moved by Councillor Elliott, which will be conducted using the electronic voting system unless we have unanimous support for the amendment. Is the amendment agreed?
Lord Mayor, in voting against, we're for 2E and 2F.
Thank you. Matt? Just against. Thank you. Can we get the electronic voting commencing? There's still 2 more people didn't vote, but as you can see, the scores are quite clear. 54 against, 14 for, and 1 abstaining. So the amendment is lost. However, there is 2 paragraph E and F that we want to have a separate vote for. I know you guys are making it difficult for me. Yeah. So for clarity. So the vote is together, E and F paragraphs. For or against, or abstain, yes?
For, against, or abstain.
Yeah. Voting is commenced. Just gonna follow him. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor.
In voting for, I'm against E.
You can't do that now. It's
Pardon?
E and F together.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah, so just have a look.
I've got a headache.
Thank you very much. E and F, the other 2 was lost, but E and F is being carried. 36 for and 33 against and 2 abstained. Okay, let's move swiftly to substantive motion. I am now going to move to vote for the substantive motion, which conducts using the electronic voting system, unless we have unanimous support for the motion. Is the motion agreed? There you go. Go ahead. Okay. In parts or altogether?
Voting for, against E.
Against E. Matt?
In voting for, we're against E and F, but passed.
Okay, voting has commenced. Please do it quickly so you can chat. Doing 70, I think, because Gail has just left. Thank you. Yeah, the motion is carried 69 for and 1 abstained. Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I want to draw the Chamber's attention to Part 4 of our Constitution, paragraph 18.3, which reads that voting in parts shall be permitted at the discretion of the Chair, acting in the interests of aiding clarity and transparency. And I, for one, am not clear and feel like it has not been transparent what we've just voted on over the course of today. And officers have reported several times to Governance Committee that we are the only council in the country that persists in voting in parts. So I'd encourage you, Lord Mayor, and subsequent Lord Mayors, to take seriously the powers that you have within this constitution, and for all of us to think seriously about whether we're conducting ourselves in a way that truly aids clarity and transparency.
Thank you, Councillor Dodd. Thank you so much. Noted. Yeah, it's making my job really difficult as well. Yeah, but thank you. So I had my Weetabix today, but it's very, very complicated when it's parts and everything like that, but I understand. Item 13, if that's okay. Everyone settle in. Appointments of third independent co-op member of the Audit and the Standards Committee. Nearly there, guys. This item of business is to approve the appointment of the third non-voting independent co-opted member to join the Audit Standards Committee or to oversee and assess the Council's risk management control and cooperative governance arrangements. The purposed appointment has been recommended following a recent recruitment exercise, and further details are set out in the report of General Counsel, which has been published with the agenda for this meeting. The motion is to approve the appointment of Fatima Adencia as a non-voting independent co-opted member of the Audit and Standards Committee for a 4-year term to February 2030. May I call Councillor Tim Hogan to move the motion?
Formally propose, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah. May I call Councillor Raouf, Deputy Chair.
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. We are now going to move to vote on the motion unless the motion is agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Fabulous. Then, yeah, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 14, minutes of a previous council meeting. It is proposed that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the council held on 3rd of December 2025 has approved as a true, accurate records. Is that motion formally moved? Councillor Lee?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. If the councillor formally second, Councillor Dyer? Matt? Or Otten? Councillor Otten?
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Is the motion agreed? Thank you. Fabulous. Item 15. Nearly there. Membership of the council body's representative to serve on other bodies' related issues. It is to be moved by Councillor Mary Lee, seconded by Councillor Otten, that the council noted the change made to the approved list of substitute members on the governance committee as set out in the list of motions circulated in the meeting. Councillor Lee?
Formally, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Otten?
Formally seconded, Lord Mayor.
Fantastic. Is the motion agreed, everyone? Who said this? You're going to have to pay for everyone's Uber, otherwise. Yeah? Agreed. Thank you. The motion is agreed. That's it, everyone.
Well done, Lord Mayor.
Thank you so much. Next month is the budget, and then I'm off. So, so let's make the most of it. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Get home safe.